so some of the board members have been and seen what I've been talking about, and it's been, this COVID has really thrown a curve at everything. Just haven't been able to come down at all. It's a different kind of world, but as I said before, I think it offers an opportunity to do some reflecting and thinking about the future. So I kind of wanted to start with, I just want to go a little bit about my family deal here. This is my, there's 4 of us. Myself, that's the guy in the middle. Then there's Donna, Ida, what's called Sister Marie Trees. The one in the middle, the one beside me there, that's the Verna Bailey. She's a Red Horse, and that's part of our, on my father's side. And then there's Charlie, and I think you guys all know those guys. If you see, we're all kind of we're showing our teeth. That I just want to make a mention of my sister there, Marie Therese. She's not, it looks like I'll just say that probably at that picture she was in a lot of pain. She suffered terribly in her last years of her life. I can explain a little bit of that, but that's kind of why I feel I have a connection here to this community, the school, and all my older brothers and sisters, they went to school here. I think Donna was the youngest, and she went at a very early age. And Charlie was 1 year above her, and Ida was, I think, about a 4th or 5th grade when they all started going to school at St. Francis here. I ended up going to Holy Rosary Mission. When they sent me over there, I was like, what the heck, how come I'm over there anyway? Because I knew, I started to know through their contacts, the Rosebud people, Emery's, Packards, DeVille's, Redbirds, all that. But I ended up going to grade school and high school at Holy Rosary. So I got to know the Pine Ridge people, got married there. I think I told this before. My wife's from Pine Ridge. And so got to know those people well. But I've always had this close connection. I remember there was a Bert Winters, when I was going to Holy Rosary, was at they used to have movies on Sunday nights. And we went over there, and here Bert was there, and she was a good friend of Donna's. And here she gave me $5. And that was big money back then. I mean, $5 in those days was a lot of money. So just thought I'd bring that up. But I wanted to talk about this first slide says decolonizing education. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but what I'm talking about with the board today is about an opportunity that I've been working on with R2. Two revolutions.
Working with who?
Two Revolutions. They're a company out of Massachusetts, Maine, up that way, but they have what they call a school designing schools, and so that they have a proposal, and so I've spoke with Huffy about it, and in working with the school here, if the board would want to, and I'm going to present that today. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just kind of describe it a little bit, and it kind of falls in line with what we've been talking about before.
What was the name of the company?
Are Two Revolutions.
Two
Revolutions. The number 2 and then Revolutions.
Okay.
But they also work with Bush, the Bush Foundation, and I've had a lot of experience with the Bush Foundation. And so that, and I worked with a guy named Ben Raymer on this But I'll just start by saying the direction in which education starts a man will determine his future in life. And so I show this thing here. When you take a look at what's the purpose of education, sociologists say the purpose of schooling around the world is everywhere, is to carry out assimilation and acculturation of the youth. Everywhere. That's what governments do all over. That's what they try to get the citizenship lined up. For us, the direction was this is an actual picture of the way these people came into, like Carlisle, Hampton, these places where Indians were sent, and then they're changed. They're given a direction, conventional schooling. This is a picture of was it? In 1872, this guy painted this picture. She's supposed to be representing the progress of America. That book she's holding there it says school book, and you can't read it, but that's what it's about. So the frontier, here she's coming through the frontier, and the country's coming this way, the United States is coming this way, and you see the animals and the Indians are heading out, man, and she's coming this way, and the frontier is coming at us. And how they set about this stuff is through the schools. It says if you wanted to change a culture in a single generation, how would you do it? You would control the learning of the youth and change the way it educates its children. So I'm going to be talking about colonization a little bit. That's what has gone on. The definition of colonization is the action or process of settling among and establishing control over indigenous people. That's what colonization about all over the world, happening mainly in North America, South America, and Africa, and wherever you go, you'd see that this is what took place, colonization. You see, there's a picture of hundreds and hundreds of kids that were put into this. Colonization is a two-headed snake. The instruments of colonization are one, evangelism, which gives the colonizer the moral authority to use its might. They say that God is with us, and He's with us so we can conquer you. And the schooling after it sets in is the way that it establishes control and domination of the people. This is such as this schooling. This is Colonel Pratt. I think he ran Hampton, and he's famous for saying, my job is to immerse these Indian children who were brought to him in the American civilization and drench them in something that is cool. But other ones that is there among these schools early on is let all that is in Indian within you die. They wanted to stomp on the Indian thought, philosophy, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what they did in schools. Evangelism shows an image of our children going to schools and then learning all about Jesus Christ and with that spirituality that they have. I put up here that your ceremonies are devil worship, and I say that just because it just happened just recently, within probably the last 2 months. I have a daughter that teaches Montessori at the St. Bernard's Indian School in 48. Has about 100 kids there. But she's teaching these little kids, and the Monsignor there told her, he said, I don't want you to bring any of your ceremonies in here about that. You're our teacher here, but we don't want none of that stuff that you guys have. So that's alive and well. I mean, it's still.
Devil worshipping?
What's that?
Did they say devil worshipping?
Yeah, they said that's exactly what he said. That's devil worship. The little ceremonies that you have, this is what he told us. The little ceremonies you got are devil worship.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I just say this, that evangelism, it's the worst word in the English dictionary. Why? is a tool. It is at the root of prejudice, hate, and ethnocentrism. It means when they come to you and they say, what we have is better than what you have. That's what evangelism is, all over the place. Evangelism means that we are better than you. You and your beliefs are inferior to ours, and we're here to save you. If we don't baptize you, you can't go to heaven. I won't help you or like you if you don't accept Jesus Christ. Jesus came to us and gave us the Word. Christ came to us, gave us the Word. Jesus is the Son of God. Your word came from a woman. I'm talking about a buffalo cat like woman. And she is not the daughter of God. Go to our churches and schools and we'll save you and we'll make you smart. This is my sister. She went to school here, graduated here in 1957 or 58, I'm not sure. She graduated with one now. She was here since I think 4th grade until she graduated, so she was around the nuns for all that time, 9 months out of a year. And when she left high school, she went into the convent at Marycrest, the same Franciscan nuns. Where's that? I call that the nun factory. She went into the nun factory, and she became a nun for them. I'll just read a little bit about it. Sister Marie Treese lived her life as a teacher, scholar, spiritual director, writer, and a Franciscan formation minister, all of which flowed from her family roots and Hunkpapa Lakota Indian culture and her Christian faith and Franciscan calling. But actually, she was more among the Sichuan people than she was Hunkpapa people. At times, she experienced intense intercultural and religious conflict and depression from the intolerance of some church leaders toward Native Americans and their cultural beliefs. Let me say that she was with these Franciscan nuns and she was pretty smart. And after she was a nun for a while, the Franciscans said, because nuns don't have much standing in the Catholic Church, they just don't. Women don't have any standing in the church. Very, very little. And so the nuns said, well, we'll send you to Rome, and so we'll have somebody that's bona fide and give us more status. So she went to Rome and studied at the Vatican for 7 years. She was in Rome for 7 years. She studied with the theologians there on Catholicism. Because she was there, she learned how to read, because of scripture, where Catholicism come from, the text and all that kind of stuff. She could read Latin, Hebrew, and Greek. She could read them and understand them. And the priests, the people, the theologians who taught her there, spoke to her. The theologians of the world, the Catholic Church, they spoke to her in French, Italian, and German. And then she could understand all those. So she had a hell of a, she was there for 7 years. While she was there, she contracted this disease, like this bug that we got now, and it ruined her liver and her kidneys. And she suffered thereafter. When she came back, she suffered a lot. But that was her experience. But I just refer to this picture right here. She was a student of Black Elk, the spirituality. When she was in Rome, the people that were there studying with her Catholicism, there was a lot of Buddhists, Hindus, different people, spiritualities from all over the earth, all the world came there and were studying with her. So she grew to have an appreciation of all spirituality. And she came back and she studied our own a lot. So this book right here, it says Living the Sacred. What she did when she got back is she gave workshops. She was one of the teachers of the Decolonizing Society and all that kind of stuff. But she taught people the similarities and the spirituality of Christianity and the Indian spirituality. But she was kind of chastised for that by the church. She was kind of ostracized by the bishop in Denver. I just know this because she told me about all the stuff that was very hard for her as a nun, and she knew the church, Catholic Church, better than the people that were priests in America. And priests in America learn this stuff from like Notre Dame, Loyola. They get their priests, they become priests, and along that order, the preachers and all that kind of stuff. Well, she learned it right from the horse's mouth, right from Rome, Vatican is where she was at. But she was, I get money from that book. She wrote several books, and she got royalties. So I get a little tiny check that these books are still being sold after she passed away. It's pretty good. There's a similarity in the communion that, as a Catholic, that you have. The parallel to that is tobacco. You can't, when you die, you can't take your Cadillac along with you. You can't take your all the riches that you got here. You can't take your house, all that kind of stuff. When you go, all you have is your prayers, and that's what tobacco is all about. When you load that pipe, you're praying to all the directions, and you're praying for the purpose that you're there for. It's really meaningful. It hasn't to do with scriptures. You load that pipe, and that's when you go on. All you're going to present there and say, "This is what I'm about. This is tobacco." That was our belief. Ours is it's cool. It's good stuff. But anyway, I'll just say I got this cartoon here that says where the church and all that kind of stuff, and all like jihadists, when you talk about Middle East, those people there have, that's spiritual. They say we're going to die for this. Yeah.
I was kind of wanting you to back up, Dave. What book was that? What was the name of that book? Is that the book right there? That you get royalties off?
Oh, that's it right there.
That's
it's
it
like
right there.
Living the Sacred Hoop. It's a retreat. It's about a retreat that when she went around and talked, she talked to people of the church, Catholic Church, and she would not only just Indians, but to Washington too. She told them the Sacred Hoop has Black Elk. She studied him. She read all his material, and she tried to, come to an understanding of the spirituality of Indian people and the Christianity.
Dave, what years was she at Vatican?
Excuse me?
What year was she at the Vatican?
I would have to say it would be something like in the mid-90s, somewhere in there, that she went over there for 7 years. She was there. So this is just taking colonialism and being, as one of the tools, the instruments of colonialism is evangelism. And this is a Jesuit priest coming and saying, here, this is the way you should be now. This is what you have, and this is a better way. We all know that. This is an important historical document of Native American Indians and their condition when the Europeans arrived. This is a word that people don't like. It's very distasteful, unsettling to people. Genocide. People don't like to talk about the Holocaust. They don't like to talk about what happened in the Americas. It's a terrible past. It's just a terrible past. This is I point that arrow goes down to Native American history. It is American history. And I don't think America can ever go forward or be a great country until they reconcile the injustices done to the American Indian, the indigenous people in the Americas, America especially. For instance, the colonization of Texas. I sat on the NARF board for 6 years, Native American Rights Federation. While I was there one time, this tribe of Indians came up to Carrizo, and NARF represented them in a lawsuit. These guys that came, there were 3 of them. They were bow-legged. Their legs were bow. Looked like somebody that had rode horse all their life or something like that. Their bones shaped up like that. But these guys were like that. So I asked John Echo, I said, I didn't know. I said, these guys are bow-legged. And why they were bow-legged was in Texas, when that state was being formed and colonized, they held Indians as nothing. They killed them. They hunted them like dogs. They hunted them, killed them, shot them dead, tried to eradicate them. And this tribe of Indians, these people, hid in forests and brush all the time. And their diet was such that it was bad, and their bones shaped like this. They were deficient in vitamins and stuff like this, so they became bow-legged out of the whole crew. It's like they made a movie, a Western movie on the Catalina Island off by Los Angeles. It's a Western cowboy movie. So they took 50 head of buffalo. I think you might have heard that. They restored them back here. But those buffalo were small.
Yeah, we got some here.
They were about this big. The reason why is their diet, what they had eaten over there was not what they were eating out here on the prairie. They were eating different types of stuff like that, so they were small. The same thing, that's what happened to this tribe of Indians. But that in California, all you have there now, they were full of Indians over there, great climate and all that kind of stuff. What you have over there is what they call rancheros, little dots, little square blocks. If you've been to California, San Diego, you see those three tribes that are right there. Escapes me their name, but they're just little tiny pockets, little tiny, like 5 blocks big. That's the reservation. And both people were hunted like they were hunted and shot and killed, just like they were in Texas. Just eradicated. And what you have left is Ishi was a movie about it. It's a book about what happened to that guy. He was the last survivor of his tribe. Nobody else like him. All his relatives, all his people were killed. That's what that book of Ishi is about. They did find a neighboring tribe someplace else that could speak the same kind of language. Yes.
Dave, if you look at our history of the Lakota, our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers were 6'4", 6'6", and they were big men. But with the settlement of the reservation and with this acculturation, assimilation, after that, we started shrinking. We're lucky to get 6'1", 6'2" these days.
It's a story. It's not very pleasant. People don't like to talk about genocide, but it went on. But that's the truth. And it's just part of our history. And it's, so I'm bringing this up. But as far as colonization, evangelism and schooling are what come in and bring it. This is, if you want to read about it, and it will tighten your jaws if you haven't read about this onslaught. Barry Marhart by D. Brown. That's the conquest that coming out of every tribe that he writes about, and chronology that he writes about what happened to them is in that book. And it is terrible. Just when I was at CU, we read the book, and here this other white guy I was with, he read the book. I wasn't with him, but he was telling me, I read that book because I had it. And he said, I read that book. He said, I was mad at my wife. I wouldn't talk to her for a week. He's a white guy. He married a white woman. He was mad at her because she was a white woman. What happened to Indians? And I was like, God, that's what he told me. Right now, you can, this movie, there's a movie coming out right now called Killers of the Flower Moon. This is about the Osage, who are Lakota or Sioux. So they have, linguistically, their words are just the same as ours, very much so.
A movie?
A movie is coming out. This is a book, if you get a chance, you should read it, but it's about what happened to those people. They were in Kansas first, and then the federal government moved them out and put them in Oklahoma on this terrible land, like reservation land, put them on the reservation. Rocks and not very good vegetation, not very good grassland, all that kind of stuff. Here, oil. They hit oil.
Yeah.
And this tells us, they killed them all. It'll come out pretty soon. The movie's gonna come out. I think it should be coming out soon, but it's just another example of this treachery that they have, that we're nothing to them. This is, I just bring this up, but there's this guy, Tinker, writes this book, The Spirit and Resistance. It's political theology, and American Indian liberation. And opposed to this, we gotta start thinking differently.
Those poor Osage, all they got is cicadas now.
Yeah.
I've been down there before. You can go into the forest and camp. Those cicadas will keep you up all night long. Once one starts, you see those?
Yeah.
It starts busting. The whole forest starts.
My nieces are Osage.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. They
Well,
make some good meat pies though. Let me
Well,
tell you.
I just say, this term's continuing on, the colonization, this is current. If you want, this is a college course where you can go and it's called colonization and religion in the third world. This is about going to these people that are inferior to you and saving them. This is real, this is going on right now. This is Christianity. This is the Pope, I got a picture of it. This isn't actually the one, but I always remember this picture. In a while ago, the Pope flies into South America and he's down there talking the word. And when he leaves, he's on the plane, he's getting on the plane. And he said, what do you think of what's going on? And what the Pope says is this, he said, boy, do we have a lot of work here. In other words, these people here don't know nothing. We got a lot of work to save these guys. This is a committee on missionary evangelism. This is a business card. You can look it up. It's still going on. Colonization, the word. Ours is better than yours. She asked me what kind of beer I drink. Root beer. Ready or not.
Heard you say any kind.
All of it.
But now, I didn't talk about evangelism. I talked a little bit about schooling. But I'm heading toward this. It'll take me about an hour and that's.
Dave, can you go back to that last screen on that course, colonization, and that last screen you had?
Yeah.
Where's that course at?
I would say it's at some university. I just have to look it up.
Online?
Yeah, online. It's at Kuluna University.
That's Hawaii.
Sounds like
Yeah, probably Hawaii.
I got the same answer from Pope John Paul II in the year 2000. When I asked him, in this new millennium, would it be an opportune time for you and I to talk about recalling the papal bulls? And his response was, I'm sorry, my son, but this was our work decreed by Jesus.
Yeah. So here's, Virgil, he met with him on that, on the doctrine of discovery, and I'll show that picture someday here when I talk. He was shaking hands with the Pope, and while he was there, he was talking about this thing that the church has done is bad. It's a doctrine of discovery, and the papal bulls are responsible for it. Let's have a reconciliation. Should we talk in a peaceful way for some kind of better outcome? That's what he was there about. So we'll talk about schooling. This is what's wrong with the colonialism schooling system of K-12. I just say it's not relevant, not very relevant. I use this one to kind of just illustrating. This is my good friend Webb Porter always said this. He said, look, we go to your school and you say, this guy George Washington is the father of our country. He said, he ain't the father of my country, man. Guy wears a wig. This guy's wearing a wig. He has a flux blouse, pedal pushers on, lace cuffs, nylons, and high heels. That ain't my father, man, I'll tell you that. That's what he says. But where does this come from? What we're doing in our schools today, what we're doing all over Indian country is based on what the Committee of 10. The Committee of 10 was appointed by the United States Department of Education. They got the 10 smartest guys they could and said, how are we going to be educating our people in America? What do we do? So they set it up. They said, we'll fill our classes, we get them by age, put them in there, and at a certain age, they have a specified content and curriculum that they'll be learning. And they'll be given a certain amount of times to learn each one of these things that they think is important. And then they'll test them for mastery. They'll diagnose for the degree of mastery, that how well they're doing on it. Then they'll label by how well they're doing. that was set up by the Committee of 10. That's what we're doing today. The problem is, they did that in 1892. This is 100, over 100 years later, and we're still doing something that's very archaic. Very, very archaic. That schooling method we have here, we're living a totally different era, and we know a lot more about education. We're speaking about that a little bit here, but this is some of the things that's wrong with this. Another thing that's wrong with this is standardizing children, assuming that they're all the same. This is a cartoon made from Einstein, but it says, for a fair selection, everybody has to climb that tree. Take this exam, climb that tree. And it's got a monkey, a bird, a penguin, an elephant, a fish, a dog. Monkey's gonna do fine. Everybody is a genius, everybody. This is what Einstein said. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. We have all sacred abilities, and we're put this way. They judge us on this one aspect of that, and that's academics and in school. And if you don't do well in there, you start to go down. You start to have it. This is Howard Gardner. He says human intelligence, there's 8 of them. One of them is academics. Just one. And that's what we do in school. These are all other kind of intelligences that we should appreciate human beings for, our children, and move them forward. No matter what it is, we should help them strengthen their abilities, their intelligences. Here's another fault, testing. Standardized tests are not objective measures of anything. This was in the Free Range Thinking magazine. The continued use of standardized testing is more of a religion, an article of faith than it is a science. Yet this fact is repeatedly ignored by the media and public policymakers because they have grown up an entire industry around it that makes large profits from the inequality it creates. In the United States, it is the profit principle that rules. Why we test is because there are bookmakers, Hood and Mifflin, these people that write these texts, and then there's tests that go along with them. They make money off of that, huge amount of money. Education America is one of the biggest industries in America. And so these companies want to keep it this way. They go to the United States government and they lobby these congressmen and senators to keep it the way it is because we're making money. That's why we test it. We know it's not good. When plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men living together in society, they create for themselves in the course of time a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. That's what these guys are. That's what's going on. We do what we do because of money. It's not the science. I'm just going to tell you. This is an article that was in the Reader's Digest. It says schools is a prison and damages our kids. I'll read this at the bottom. It says, parents send their children to school with the best intentions, believing that formal education is what kids need to become productive, happy adults. Many parents do have qualms about how well schools are performing, but the conventional wisdom is that these issues can be resolved with more money, better teachers, more challenging curriculum, or more rigorous tests. But what if the real problem is the school itself? Now, I'll go into that. This article, the whole article is about how this school psychologically damaged kids. Now that we're talking, these aren't Indian kids. This is schooling in America. This is Gloria Steinem. She wrote this book, Revolution Within. It's about self-esteem. She did this. She was very successful. She started the teen magazine, and to make more money to sell to these teenagers to help them. She wanted to help them build their self-esteem, or she wanted, what can I do to help them? So she began investigating self-esteem. And I'll just say this, I'll just read this. By conducting self-esteem research, this is what she did, such as Roosevelt, he was another scientist that looked at self-esteem. Gloria found that a child's self-esteem declined as he or she progressed through school. So when you come into school, I think I said this before, when you come to school as a little varmint, a little kid, you feel pretty good about yourself. You are loved. You have a grandma, an auntie, a mother, extended family that love you. They like you just the way you are. You might be roly-poly, you might be a string bean or whatever, but they love you. When you go to school, your self-esteem starts to go down. Because the schools are deficit models. They work on your deficits. This is the Teton time. This is a school. This is 2016 February. Now just use this as an example of what I'm talking about. This is Rock Creek Grand School. It used to be called Bullhead, the community. This is where my father was from, this community. This is the second 9 weeks honor roll. 8th grade, how many made the honor roll? None. 7th grade, how many made the honor roll? This is gonna make you feel good, huh? If you make the honor roll, none. 6th grade, there were 3 of them with B's. 5th grade, 1, Alexander Archambault. 4th grade, none. 3rd grade, A honor roll, Joshua Demanti, with B honor rolls, you got to start with B, Max Archambault, Karen Steele, and so forth. Second 9 weeks, perfect attendance, none. But this is, so if you go to school and you want to feel good about yourself, and doing well in school, this is an indication. This school has about 100, 120 kids. There's hardly anybody feeling pretty good about what's going on there. They're not feeling good. That's tragic. 3 out of 4 teachers say confidence hinders learning, lack of confidence.
Where was that at? What school is it?
Teton. That one?
Yeah, Teton.
That's Bullhead. That's
Bullhead, it's
Rock
Bullhead.
Creek, Rock Creek School, yeah, on our reservation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
been to Bullhead.
That's that was in 16, but not much has changed. I'll just tell you, not much has changed. 95% of teachers believe hands-on learning builds student confidence. 89% of students say hands-on learning helps them learn new things, and 87% say it helps them remember topics longer. So it kind of says we should be doing more experiential learning versus pencil and paper, reading books, stuff like that. This is a proficiency test. This is about 2018. This is a national academic educational progress. They take all state data and they look at proficiency. And this is of the 4th graders in these states. The best one is Oregon at about 27%, but North Dakota, about 14% of our kids are proficient. South Dakota looks like there's about 11% of proficient. Arizona, Alaska, New Mexico, I think worse than that. So it just, what's going on, what we're doing isn't very good. Nation at risk, this is, Ronald Reagan said this in '83, that the United States is falling behind, he's worried about it. So they do this study. This is another study by John Decolonizing. It's pretty cool, it's interesting. He's a Comanche from Oklahoma, and his master's thesis paper was about he interviewed his great-grandfather about how it was in the old days. Really cool study, really interesting. But he writes this: failure to respond places the future of Native American peoples at risk. This is a whole document, a study that was done, a report. And this is, I'm going to read the text from the Sioux Falls Leader. This was in November of 2020. Actually, I got the wrong date, that's 19. That was last year. This was in the Sioux Falls Artist Leader. It was done by a Zephyr. A guy wrote this in there. The systemic failure to properly educate Native American students is seen as a major source of devastating later in life consequences that have plagued Native people and communities for decades. Generational poverty, high unemployment, substance abuse, high incarceration rates, and reduced expectancy in life. This is what we can do better. This is Sandra Fox. She was educated here, NIEA. She worked for the NIEA, not NIEA, but Department of Education, and she was at odds with them. I don't know if anybody knows her, but she was at odds, still is at odds with the education system that's going on for Haiti. kids.
Dave?
Yeah.
Dennis's wife?
Who's that?
Dennis Fox?
Yeah, that's his wife. He's from Fort Berthold, and she's the Emery, I think, from Heinrich Park. Foxes are from Fort Berthold, that's her husband. But she says the same thing. What the government's doing for Indians is putting our kids at risk. There's a disconnect here. The United States education system and the laws that they have here, we just don't, this isn't working for us. It causes a lot of grief. I'll just say this is the one that, her name was Melody Shaw. She was the head of the Department of Education here in South Dakota, and I used to have battles with her because I was operating a school called the City Bowl School, and we did Montessori and we did project-based learning, and I had, but after a while, honest to God, and this is why I'm telling you with this, we went to her office, her, Jay Takeline and I, we went to her office, and here, this was about 2016, we went in that office, and I was ready to battle, because I've been arguing with her for a long time, but she said, K-12 schooling isn't working for our Indian children, and she said, I am owning it, and I want to do something, so we got $2.2 million from her to look into alternative education. Here's a cartoon. You want money for your school? You want money for this school? You better follow our policies. That's the onus that they have over us right now. If you don't do what we say, go do your stuff, follow what we do with our standards, we're going to knock you in the head. And then I got this on the side. It says, and don't try anything cute like innovation, culture, language, therapeutic measures, local control, charter schools. Here's an interesting thing about ed schooling, and this is something that's well written in the literature, and this is mainly done by psychiatrists and sociologists. It's called the hidden curriculum. This is what actually goes on in schools. This is main, other than you're supposed to be learning the subject matter and all kinds of stuff, there's something else that goes on while you're in school. And that's the hidden curriculum. Actually, it's colonization. It's about society, power. This thing up here says the hidden curriculum. This guy that authored this thing that says this stuff is John Taylor Gatto, G-A-T-T-O. He's from New York. He's been honored as the best educator in the United States and all that kind of stuff. And he says what we're doing in schools to kids is terrible. This is what he chooses. He says, this is what's going on. He said, stay in the class where you belong. Only I determine what curriculum you will study. Surrender your will to the predestined chain of command. Your self-respect should depend on an observer's measure of your worth. And I'll watch what you're doing. I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to put my stamp on you. You are being watched. It's an indoctrination center to the American society is what this is about. Zombification is another way they put it. This is Max Weber, the theory of bureaucracy, but where you learn it is in schools. You just do as told, follow orders. Why? The historical data and research tells me this is an Indian administrator, okay? He's got beards, he's fine like mine's pitiful hair. My hair's all falling out, but that's some left. Tells us that schooling are doing what we are doing, tells me that schooling what we're doing for our Indian children isn't working and never has. So why do I feel such loyalty to the Stockholm syndrome? That's the identifying with the enemy.
What is that, Dave? The Stockholm syndrome?
It comes from like World War. I think it was done to people that were captured by the Nazis, and then to get along, they identified with them and try to be like them.
Kind of like the oppressor and oppressed.
Yeah. Colonization. The colonization apparatus in the United States is found by looking at how the United States, how the states in the Union were created. After creation and ratified by the federal government, the states created legislation that took land in the state. They created schools and they create local governments. But this is the book. It's called Savages and Scoundrels. And when you read this stuff, you'll find out these guys that set up the states in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, wherever they were at, they set these laws up. They set things up. They took land and they made public schools. So if you look on the state of South Dakota, on this reservation, you'll see that there was land taken by the state that was captured and is now probably unused, but some is used, but there's public school land on this reservation. There's land on our reservation, on Pine Ridge, that is still owned by the government for schools to be built there.
Right now, I think they're not litigating, but they're negotiating in Rapid City on the original treaty land.
Yeah.
That was taken in the 40s, I believe.
Yeah, but in the beginning, when you take a look at these guys, they put Indians on the reservation, they created their state, and then they went about passing legislation and laws that had nothing. Indians were sitting over here on the reservation, and these guys were doing things. The state, these guys were, when you read about, like this book will tell you, the guys who created North Dakota and South Dakota, you go to the state, there's busts of them. You'll have statues of a guy standing like this, a carved statue of a guy standing like this. He's one of the founders of South Dakota. Those guys were no good son with guns. They hated Indians. They didn't like us. They passed laws that were totally hostile. Indians didn't even know what was going on. And they said, well, we have the power, we have the jurisdiction. This is within the state, this is how we have the right to do these things. Indians weren't even consulted. One thing that happened to us, like on our reservation, is they just condemned the people. This is the big house in Washington, D.C. They said that they wanted to protect the United States from floods, so they built these 6-person lot, the biggest dams in the world at the time. And then they built them right below Indian reservation and flooded the best land that the Indians had. I think this reservation's been moved away through disenfranchisement, but probably I think you have land over there. There's communities still over there that from this reservation we got moved this way. But anyway, in our case, they built these dams. They started flooding. When they started backing up on our land like that, they came to us in the 50s and said, you guys are going to have to move. You people ain't on these farmland, Fort Yates, Cannonball, Kenneral, well, you guys are going to have to move because the water's coming up and you're going to drown. So they told them after the fact. Didn't even, it's just terrible. But this is an example. These guys did this kind of stuff. That's what colonization was all about. Yes, do it.
Dave, I had a student when I was at the university. She said her grandfather did everything the government asked him to do, to fence his property, build his barn, put his cattle, his chicken, and then after that, they came back and they said, you're gonna have to move up because we're gonna attack this.
Yep. And then they moved them up on houses away from the river, and there's not much wood.
He just moved to Buffalo, South Dakota and drank himself to death.
Buffalo Gap. It's quite a story about Buffalo Gap. But so here's the colonization of two of the state instruments: evangelism and schooling. What are the characteristics? So this is the guy I met. This guy, knew this guy, wrote back and forth with him. Pedagogy of the oppressed. This is what happens with this is the way he writes about people in South America. And I told you there's a colonized. Alfred Mimi writes about Tunisia, people in Africa. There's all these stories where people, here's the people, a conqueror comes in, and what happens to them after they get conquered. This is the way they are. This book says that. They have very low education levels. They have a very poor self-image. They experience poverty. They're angry. They don't feel good about things. They have a high use of alcohol and drugs. They feel helpless. There's a lot of crime, and the people who did it do despite it. Like people in the state don't like this reservation. They don't like us, man. Well, anyway, this is what he said. There is no such thing as neutral education. Education either functions as an instrument to bring about conformity, be like us, or freedom. That's what he thinks. Freedom should, he's a professor, he's the first guy in this book, he criticizes formal education. So it's really a good book to read. I mean, it's hard to read because it's translated from Portuguese. So, decolonizing, getting away from this. This is a conference in Seattle, is it? Tacoma. Come, let's talk about it. That's what I want to talk to you guys about. That's what I've been talking to the board about decolonizing. How do you do that? How do you get away from that? What can you do? This is interesting. Transformative decolonization, a reconciling. Look, United States, look, state. Let's talk this over. Our data isn't very. Would you help us? Would you help us do something else? This thing ain't working. This thing that's on us right now. Can we work together? Let's talk about voice, hope, action, and that's what I got a picture of Albert there. Reconciliation is to restore, friendly in friendship or harmony, to settle or resolve, to cause to submit to or accept something unpleasant, to resolve something. It's time to it's time for us to think about this colonization. What happened to us? It happened, it's gone on like this, but now we got to start thinking about what can we do. Our kids it isn't going well for our kids. So this is it. This is what I'm going to be talking to you about now. I'm going to go through this proposal thing for you guys. And that's kind of what I was talking about. I think I got hired to do this kind of stuff. And I'll go through what I was hired to do for the new board, so you understand, know what I'm talking about. And I just offered, I'm just what they would call an EASCA, interpreter, a translator. That's all but what I say, it's up to you. I offer it, and if you want it, that's fine. It's okay. I'll just do the best I can for in that regard. This is relatives. Has anybody seen this or heard this thing?
I got a copy of that.
What it's about is talking about, this is about Albert Whitehat. It's a video, it takes about 20 minutes. And what he says there, he says, it's time. We gotta start taking our responsibility. He died in 2013, but it is time. Sometime we gotta start thinking like this. We gotta start doing something. Now this proposal, there's two revolutions. It's about, what they want to do is focus not on the curriculum, but on the student, making things better for the human being that is in our schools. So I drafted this thing up. This is kind of the guts, the overall, what it's all about. It's the why, and what I say in the proposal is that it's time. Albert Whitehat said it's time for us to take up this responsibility. I'll explain that. The what is the colonization? That's the problem. We gotta get rid of it. We gotta start thinking, rethinking that. How do we do it? You work on things to strengthen the human being, the Indian student. And I say the way is we have a way. And it was believing that each and every one of our people, it's in our creation stories, it's in all that non-being, that every human being has a power. They're non-being. And that is the spirit that's in them. And that's what's got to be nurtured. And that's basically what the proposal is about. When I first came here, this is August 6th, this is the first time I came. And I talked about COVID being an opportunity to revolutionize school. Because everything's out of whack like this. And so they can't expect the school to be held to, they're not going to judge you and say you're bad, because everybody's having difficulty. This whole system is based on a teacher-directed learning. And now that, and in a certain way, face-to-face, now it's different. It presents a whole different dynamic, and I think it's an opportunity, and that's the way I explain it. And I'd love to talk with the new board members about this. But this is a Bush Foundation, our support for community challenges. I put this here, it says racial injustice, and I'm saying in this is one of the program that Bush has, talks about COVID-19 and racial injustice. So what I'm talking about is colonization. That's the problem that we have. This is about school design for student-centered learning, focusing on the student. How do you do that? How do you help kids versus what's been going on? Rev 2 is an education design lab. So this is Rev 2 is about, it's a laboratory to work towards this. Nobody knows for sure, so you try things. You try your best to change things to make things better. School design for student-centered learning. That's Rev 2. That's what they're about. And so this is parts of the proposal. The what? This is with support from the Bush Foundation. Rev 2 Revolutions is currently offering grants to support school teams that are interested in implementing student-centered learning models. So they're offering opportunity to help to do this kind of stuff within Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. And the 23 Native nations that share the same geographic interest teams will have the opportunity to participate in a free self-paced course. So that's one of the things you have to go to a course. So I'd say you have to do, the first thing is I'd say the board. The board could, if you want to do this, I'm just saying that there's an opportunity to get involved with this by taking this course and you learn about how this, that kind of stuff. So you, a self-paced course that guides them through process dreaming of a new learning model. This is your model. This would be your model. Nobody else that this comes from, this would be generated, the genesis for this work would be here. They will then have the opportunity to apply for funding and coaching to bring their design to life. In recent years, 40 design teams have funded through this process. But they actively want this. The guy I'm working with is with R2, and I know it works really well. So I think this is good. If you guys want to, I could continue work. I will put the thing together quite a bit and I'll describe it. But the why, education is critical to making our world better. Certainly any world needs to make it better. Our education system should help all children reach their full potential. Yes. We believe this requires more student-centered approach. So they're talking about, so that's what this whole thing is about. So this is kind of like the journey that you go through. But first of all, I'd say would be, I think to do this, you would need community input. So like Dwayne, I would say Victor DeVille, or whoever else the board would like to see, we need to start working. I'd say community education is vital. You need a buy-in. You need people out there in the community say, explain this to them, what the school's moving towards. It doesn't happen like that. It takes time, years, but you slowly build towards this new education process. So you just take time to build towards it. This first part is just assessing. Now this is a perfect time because school isn't there. I mean, kind of bad, but you'd want to have community feeds, tell Parmalee, Spring Creek, St. Francis, probably Rosebud, to say, invite these people and say, this is what we're doing. We'd like to have your support and help us build this model. You have cultural insights, knowledge that we would like to incorporate. Give us your idea, help us with this. That's what this is all about. You have to assemble a portfolio or a file about yourself. So you have to answer those questions, why, what, where, how, and all that kind of stuff. But you have to back it up with evidence. So they act for artifacts to do this. So that's what I could do that, and I've got a lot of it together. But that's where I need to have input from you guys, and then I can interpret. Yes, I can translate, try to put that into words that will work. Yeah.
Are we all, with this, maybe with other schools, I don't know, without visiting that one in Minnesota that you was talking about, and maybe several other schools, how big a paradigm shift is it gonna be from our decolonization?
Well, it's a big, because there's a lot of people that call them, they call them apples.
Yeah.
They're really outside of what they say. It's hard to deal with it, but in knowing this kind of stuff, like with Paul, the philosophies of creating change, you can't bust somebody in the nose with an alien or whatever, so you gotta try to just talk with them in a good way to come along, we can reconcile with them, do reconciliation, and say, we gotta move this way. Here's some data that says it's imperative, we want better things. So you move along in that, but that's a very important question, to get that. But you do it, I think it takes time. It takes time for people to learn and understand there's something else. What we got now isn't working. Let's think about doing something else. And we need your help. We'd like to have your input to help change the direction that we have. So this is decolonizing education. That's what we're thinking about right now. This is that one on top says decolonizing education. That's from, see, Alaska. That's Alaska community. This is a woman talking, an Indian woman talking about decolonization in Alaska. This other was Marie Baptiste. She's talking about it. But this is important. What is it that you want to do? That young lady there, think of that. That's St. Francis Indian School, St. Francis School Board. What do you want to do? What do you want to fly out there? What do you want to say that what you're doing? It takes time to do this kind of stuff. How can we change our conventional school? How can we do this? We got to start thinking about this. And take, this is just an example of what Lucy is made to do curriculum that she doesn't have any interest in. Lucy will probably not test well because she doesn't care about the subject or how, and therefore why she is made to do it. Lucy will probably start hating coming to school. It sounds familiar. It's like that, George, well, this is a father your country. Some of the stuff just isn't there for us. So the key is this. If Lucy is given the opportunity to choose what she wants to do, she will probably cooperate and even be eager to explore and learn. If Lucy follows what interests her, she will start developing her own special gifts and talents. If allowed to follow her own interests, she will find her own passion, she'll find what she's about and her purpose in life. This will happen. That's what we want to do for our kids. This is what's going on right now. This is the BIE school. And I brought this up before. If you read this thing, this is put out. This is a strategy that the BIE put in place from 2018 to 2023. They want to keep this document, it's about this thick. They want to keep doing what's going on right now. These are the excerpts from there. This is tells you, I want to read this because it's important. It says, the BIE is committed to improving performance of Indian kids. Cool. According to most recent NIEA educational study, the largest such study to date, this is a big study done on Indians. The scores have not significantly changed in the 2015 compared to 2011 or even 2005. In other words, it's the same thing. It hasn't changed. That says who authored it. The overall performance of Indian students nationwide is lower than any other racial ethnic group in America. In 2015, the graduation rate for Indian students was 69%. However, the rate for those attending BIE schools was at 53%. So that's what's going on. What do they want to do about it? They want to model lessons and resources based on standardized aligned curriculum. That's what this school follows state guidelines. BIE had the chance to do something about it, to do their own thing.
What year was that comparison, 53%? What year was it?
Well, this study was written, let me see.
2015?
It says it's 2015.
Okay.
5 years. What things just haven't changed. I mean, the data, everything remains the same. We keep doing this. You can't expect change if you keep doing the same thing.
I think that's, the chairman requested that data from kindergarten to now. I think when we had that statistician in here, yeah.
Yeah, do that.
And they were
I would
looking
suggest
at-
that's part of some of the work that I thought I might do is do research for the schools to find out, because you want to know that data, hard to go down. When you go out to a community and say, this is the deal, whether you like it or not, it's kind of tough. I'll just say that for On the internet right now. Budweiser. Okay.
You did too much. You know, when I started going back to college classes, my instructor was telling me, this is about you. All of this history and culture, it's about you. It's all about you and your people here. So that grabbed me. It's about, what do you mean about me? And said, this is who you are. And it didn't dawn on me until after the first semester. Then I grabbed onto it. I said, holy smokes, this is me. This is who I'm supposed to be. You know, here I am acculturated and assimilated, and this is who I'm supposed to be over here. And so that's what brought me back. And I went after that degree in history and culture and philosophy and these things. And I think what the key there is, we got to put the curriculum around these students.
Yes. Put
the student in the curriculum.
Well, I would say, if you ask the question, what do you want to do? What interests you?
Yeah.
And you'll see, you'll start, so that's what this in here is. Two revolutions is about student-centered. They want to help, if you want to, design a school system from scratch. Do it your own way. They love it. They want to see that. They'd love to see an Indian school do this, because what would happen is, if you were successful, and you understand there's going to be setbacks, but if you're successful, you become a leader in Indian education in America. A leader. We helped our kids be productive, whereas before they weren't. And it takes time, but that's a challenge. That's what can happen. We got to see that. Let me go on. And so they want to do the same thing. This is a BIE. They're going to just want to keep doing the same thing. And again, this is at Melody Shop. It isn't working. This is, if you look on the internet right now, it would say that the dropout rate for St. Francis English students is at 44%.
What was that? What was that, Dave?
On the internet. If you look up there, look at St. Francis Indian School, hit the button, and it'll start showing it shows all, you can look at all the schools in the state, and St. Francis is one of them, and they show your data. You can look at your data. On that thing, it says 44%, and according to state test scores, 1% of students are at least proficient in math, and 6% reading. You read that. That's in the state right now. You can look on your. I'm not lying. This evening, go back, look on St. You'll see that. You'll see that data that's on there. I don't know where it comes from, but that's what I guess it, because everybody sends in their test scores, so they're doing that. I just don't see how that's possible, but that's what it said. I'm just quoting what the data on the internet
Well, we have a
says.
state school.
What do you think?
It ain't me saying
Well,
that.
what do you think is not possible?
It's hard to be that low. I mean, 1% proficiency. I mean, that's like you don't have any ability to be reading at the 4th grade level or the math level. You're only 6% of the students out of 100 kids, only 6 of them can do math at the 4th grade level. That's basically what it says. Is that right, Teresa?
Yeah,
Well,
and that the data that you're talking about is how we're compared to public school
Yeah.
systems. The data that's current to what we do as a Native American school is on the DIE report card that we get every year talking about our data and our graduation. So in comparison to what I'm seeing, just looking at data too, what I'm seeing is within the DIE with our peers, Native American schools like us versus Little Moon, us versus Sisseton and Wahpeton, those kinds of scores that were compared to with our peers, we're right with our peers. But the data that you're looking at on the internet would show us lower because we are being compared to the public school system. And that's just.
And then there's a National Assessment of Education Progress in America, and that's one that's taken every 3 years, and they have everybody take the same test, and that's that one chart I showed you where 11% were proficient in South Dakota, North Dakota's at 14%. If that one chart I showed you, so that's where, but that's low. And the best performing Indians in the nation are in Oregon. so-called. The worst, I think it says Arizona. But, you know, we shouldn't worry about that. We should have our own system, our own standards, what we want. We should be sovereign. We are sovereign, and we should start acting like it. So I'm just saying that, and the dropout rate, according to that data on there, is 44%. So that's the proposal. This is what I write. The why. Okay, it's time. I'm using that relatives thing here. It's time. As the first artifact request, they ask for artifacts. So what I'm going to do to them is, if you guys want me to, and you want to go forward with this, I would give them an artifact. Is that relatives thing, the video? I have it. I'll send. Look at this. Read this. That and this. In this artifact, here is a wisdom keeper of Si Chung Hu of this community named Albert Whitehead, and he said it's time for us to start learning our own ways, taking that responsibility. That's the first artifact. Relatives. The video is called Relatives. It is asked to be reviewed. This document is about Si Chung Hu, a Rosebud Lakota elder named Albert Whitehead. His experience in living in two worlds caused him in the video to ask his relatives to embrace their responsibility to start living their own Lakota way of life. That's what that thing's about. This is what he said. This is the exact quote, and I wrote this down. This is what his words are. Every culture has a way of life. Every culture has a spiritual way of life that guides their way of life that they should be responsible for. We have historically been denied this responsibility. Now the responsibility is coming back, and we have to prepare for that. That's what he says verbatim in that tape. It's time. So that's why I wrote, that's my first piece, and I try to back that up with other things. I'll show them this.
Hey.
Yeah.
You know that Dwayne and Albert were brothers.
We're closely related.
Closely related, but brothers in the sense of spirituality.
Yeah.
The same. We want what you
He thinks of me as his little brother. Treats me like he did when he was here.
Yeah, I got to know him pretty good. Him over time. I was ran the City Bowl College, and Lionel always brought him along. You know, here I am. This is Decolonizing, and this is my man. He said, Albert here, and Lionel could do a good job of Lakota kind of stuff, but Albert was the Lakota knowledge type of guy, the expert, and he always asked him to pray and speak about our ways. But this is Wilma Mankiller. The battle for Indian children will be won in the classroom, not on the streets or on horses. The students of today are our warriors tomorrow. I don't think anybody anywhere can talk about the future of their people or an organization without talking about education. Whoever controls the education of our children controls our future. And I think if you go this way, you're going to be in a battle. And that's okay. You should be in a battle. If this isn't right, what's going on, you should be fighting for your people. A sovereignty, a school. This is your control. And that's one thing that we have right now, is that this school board does have this, and you need to be able to fight it. And we can. You can. I'll just tell you, we can defend ourselves well in our position of sovereignty. I worked it out well with the state of South Dakota before this. But anyway, it's there, and it's an opportunity. Education is how we lift our people from poverty to a bright future. The only way to lift people out of poverty is to give them education that honors their culture, their identity, and who they are as human beings. That was Sal Jewell and Obama's likely, but that's what she says, and that's very, very true. We gotta go back there. We gotta do that. Why we gotta do this? Colonization. That's the problem. The problem. There is a plethora of problems for First Americans existing on their homeland. The schooling crisis evidence is one of the realities, and this learning information is presented here in these artifacts. So I'm going to present a bunch of things like that to try to get them proposals done. They are reported as rationale and justification for support from Rev to help, challenge, to assist, and flip this educational paradigm. The genesis of the problem begins with the Catholic Church and their edicts called papal bulls. greed and ethnocentrism resulted in a church doctrine that viewed and treated Indians as infidels that persists into the 21st century in all views and perspectives. We have every right to be sovereign, but we have to fight for it. Now, it's called decolonization. Colonization, that's what we gotta do. We gotta do this at some point in time. That's the system we're against. As artifacts, the Merriam Report in 1928 said what they were doing to these kids in these classrooms, the most fundamental need in Indian education is a different point of view. In other words, we gotta stop thinking that we know what's right for these people. We gotta let them do what they want. That's what this next thing says. In the Merriam Report, it says Indian people should have the power to make choices and that the federal government should support them in their choices. So if you guys want to do something with education, do it, fight for it. But this is the Kennedy, the next thing, 40 years later, come out the Kennedy Report. The study concluded that the national policies for educating American Indians are a failure of major proportions. The report blamed them in efforts to force Indian children to accept cultural values other than their own as one of the major flaws in Indian education and as a leading cause for high dropout rates. That's verbatim from that study. I got the book, about that thick. This is through one of the chapters that this is in. How do you do this? If you want to say, how can you do it? What do you got to do? Student identity. For American Indian students, the conventional schooling regimen, the content, the standards, all have been professionally studied, researched, and documented in countless reports, just like I just mentioned. In spite of these conclusions that the ordinary K-12 mainstream system misses successful participation by Indian children, the band marches on. It just keeps going on. They keep doing the same thing. The march is annually performed with at least half dropping off. Why? The schooling mantra is carried out and intended for non-Indians and the mainstream society. So again, we know better than you. You will learn what we want you to learn. This is the deal. Why not try something meaningful? Something purposeful, something relevant to who the student is. Why not place emphasis on building self-esteem, self-reliance skills, character development? Why not positive awareness? How about identity? Why don't we, are there such things? Can you do that? There are schools in the United States that are doing that. We should look at them, investigate them, and see if we can't bring that kind of learning here. Personal identity. Students must be fully embraced for who they are. They must be based in the context of their own community or their culture, and they must feel that they belong. In working on this, they develop positive sense of their own identity, language, ceremony, family tree, and then see unique and positive self-expressions throughout the school building. I think this is ownership. This is so key to education. I just gotta say, this is, if you don't have ownership in schooling, it ain't gonna work. Students must have influence in what they are gonna learn. This ownership should be driven by their own personal interests and passions or guiding spirit, or their guiding, whatever their force is that's telling them they should do. We should nurture that. That's what ownership, in what they're doing at school, that should reflect that. If ownership is not given, then the student is just a recipient of what somebody else thinks is good for them. Without ownership, the student is disenfranchised. A schooling practicing ownership regards all staff, facilitators, guides, for the advancement of each student's nahi or instruction. Everybody's got to understand. That's why it's so important to get all the staff. Everybody's got to understand this. You know, it can't be just the board. It can't be just the administrators. Everybody's got to understand that this movement here towards liberation is got to be understood, and then you start behaving, you start treating everything in a whole different manner. How to give ownership? How do you do that? Must get to know the student, find out all about them. Doing this validates them and their identity. What do you think? What do you think? So you have, in every class, they should be asked questions. They should get to know these kids on a personal level. What kind of candy do you like? Who's your favorite athlete? all kinds of questions like that. And as the kids respond, they get to know each other. And they begin to appreciate the differences that they have. It's so important to do this in every class. Every time you start a class. I just did a training why I thought I was late. I do work for the Pueblo people in New Mexico. And they have what they call the Institute of Montessori Training. And I'm one of the trainers. So this morning I was on by Zoom from 10 to 12:30. I was supposed to be on at 1, but I left her a little late. So I got here after 1. I got to leave at 12:30, but I got here a little after 1. But,
What tribe was that, Dave?
Huh?
What tribe of Pueblo was that?
This one is the Caras. Those are the Cochiti Pueblos. They're just like the Sioux.
Yeah.
Pueblos, they got a lot of, there's Cochiti, Asleda, and so forth. There's all kinds of tribes down there. They were once, they were a great nation. All together, they controlled this area. Now we're separate little rhythm, just like we are right now. Same thing. But they're trying to spread this Montessori influence, self-directed learning through those Pueblos. Employ strategies and methods that help reveal self-qualities and with others to build appreciation of each other and self. The more I get to know what you, the more I appreciate. It helps everybody. Let students choose what they want to learn and work on. Disregards a skilled guide or requires professional development. You can't just all of a sudden think, I've told this before to the new board members, this ain't about getting rid of anybody. This is about improving people's skills. They got good skills, let's help them become a facilitator, a guide. And you do that, you can help them do this kind of stuff. So the design is, first you got to acknowledge that the system isn't working. Commit to a culturally based, student-centered change. That's what this proposal is asking about. Do school improvement. This is school improvement. This is what the state asks for. This is what the BI asks for. And you've got to put in there what you want to do. And that's what the sovereignty part comes in. If you want to do this, you put it in the law. You put it in your school, you put it in the law. That they'll ask you, what are you doing? And so they pretty much line out what they want you to do, but you say, this is what we want to do. I got more money like that than you can imagine. I'll tell you the story sometime. But what you do is you set up gender-specific classrooms. I think I talked about this. Our whole society was women were on one side, men on the other. That's the way we should do that with learning. We should put not second grade, but our classroom of mixed age, girls over here, mixed age boys over here. Start practicing a cultural management that we have for learning. Use experiential and autodidactic learning methods. Autodidactic is self-taught. How you urge learning by yourself, self-taught. Use cooperative learning, cooperative or team cooperative learning for the team learning to build character. Working together, how to work with others. Throw the culture blanket over. This is like throwing. So right now, I think this school does. I just say all Indian schools are trying hard to cover their school with their culture. That is to try to help out with history, culture, language. They're trying their best. That's right. That's no doubt about it. So with this one is that you just do it. You're just going to do the delivery differently. That's what this is about. So you maintain that. The key, nurture the Nari. Nurture the Nari. Virgil Kilstrate and Maria Montessori identified a force within every human being. This is in our creation story. This is what I have. This is in this book. I think I showed you last time. They talk about this stuff in this book here. The Sons of the Wind. Tells you all about that. The Nari. And here, this comes from these scholars that read Walker's stuff. But Virgil learned it from hands down, handed fortunate enough to, he's telling me about the Nahi and how it's missing. I'm real happy that I came across Maria Moss right here. She talks about the spiritual embryo. But for Virgil, the knowledge about the force came from spiritual teachings handed down to him. A Walker recorded Lakota elders in the early 1900s. He wrote books that captured the Lakota wisdom of Nahi. The Lakota believed this inner energy was sacred and came with instructions. Today, we recognize the sacred energy as one of the instructions to live according to one's own natural talents and abilities. As such, a Lakota schooling design should focus on learning programs that focus on developing each student's learning tendencies. The how or goal then is to see what makes each student tick and nurture. That's student-centered learning. Teach me. So these are student-centered models. I'll just tell you, in America, these are models that are operating in schools all over the country. And I've been to them. I'd love to take you guys to some. But they're talking about personalized learning. They're talking about student focus, freedom, teamwork, liberation, stuff like that. That's what they're trying to do at these schools. So this isn't fairyland stuff. This is stuff we could do if we want to understand them and bring them here. Student agency. Student agency refers to learning through activities that are meaningful and relevant to learners, driven by their interests and often self-initiated with appropriate guidance from teachers. To put it simply, student energy gives students voice and choice in how they want to learn. So we can learn how to do this. Student agency, that's what it's all about. That's what this proposal would be all about. How do you do this? And I'll just say, it just doesn't happen like that. It takes time for people to learn. So that's what this proposal is about. And I'll just tell you one more thing. Education is the only formal discipline that is not based on scientific research. If you take scientific research, say, is it working? They'll tell you it isn't. There's a lot of stuff that isn't working. Show me the evidence based on research that current K-12 teacher-directed learning is more successful or superior to self-directed learning. Everything is telling us that these things before, these types of things is working better. Students are happier, they enjoy, they learn better. So here's my contract for I guess, Don, I think, I think I showed this before, but what I'm about is I got this comment, says, I will assist in the creation of cultural and student-based distance learning. That's this COVID stuff. But it's such, I haven't been able to come down and I want to look at the thing, and I think Teresa and your administrators are doing the best they can. And that's all I can say for everybody in the United States. They're coping with this, because nobody's done this before, right? Who's done this before? This face-to-face COVID on this scale. So everybody's floundering. I'll tell you that, struggling. I ain't kidding you. Everybody's bemoaning it, saying we got to get back. We got to open our school. We got to get back to face-to-face. But right now, everybody's doing the best they can. Sincerely. I have some ideas. Guidance in developing a sovereign school improvement plan. That's the thing that you tell the BIA, this is what we're going to be doing. We're moving towards this, whatever it is you guys plan. Rational and advice for adopting and instituting student-focused empowerment learning models. This proposal says student-centered, but it's student-focused. Deliver board and community empowerment workshops. So, that's what I'd like to do. I've given some, I'd like to give some more, and just keep going with this. But I think the community, as I said before, everybody's the Lord. Sonny said that it's a slow learning part. You gotta bring everybody along. It takes time. Professional development sessions for administration. So I do kind of what I'm doing here to try to help the staff understand where it's going. So that's what I've been hired to do. So I gave a resolution for Tuffy. I don't know if you guys have it in your packet or not, but it's a written packet to approve this would be part of evidence, an artifact that I would submit with a proposal to Rev 2 to say, this is evidence that this school is on board. And then they would say, I would say, they're gonna say, okay, we want to start with you, and here's some funds to help you go along to do this. It's overtime, but at first there's a lot of bringing up to speed, community education, and stuff. Dwayne, I think you'd be a big part of it, and others that would be involved, because it's involved in, if you want to do it, I can't say, but I just say it's about educating everybody about this kind of new way of school. And the board's got to go. If the board don't do it, then you don't want to do it, I help with it if you guys want. So the motion I had was to, if you guys want to go this way, pass the motion and I start working on it. I have been working on it. I put a lot of it together so far. And what I've done today is just give you an overview of the Dwayne had.
When I was growing up, and my grandma would say, so when she says, when you grow up, Nakichita would take today, and we say, oh, you're going to be a warrior. Yeah, I'm going to be a warrior. But when you look at the philosophy, when Grandpa explained the philosophy of what Akichita really means, in the philosophy it says Akichi Yuta. So that when you, the name here for the school, there's warriors. So that's translation of Akichita. But Akichita means I'm looking after you. I've got your back. They look at each other, they take care of each other. And if this is the way that when Grandma tells me, Akichita hinichakte, that means you're going to have to take care of others. You're going to have to look out for others. That's the philosophy of the word. Saying, and they're going to take care of you. So you take care of him, and he's going to take care of you. I got his back, he's got my back. So this was a term that when you're saying you're Akichita, you're going to have somebody's back, and somebody's going to always have yours. That needs to be explained to the people, and saying we all have to do this. We all have to be Akichita together and do this together as Akichita. The philosophy, I think that's what Grandma meant, everyone meant when they say you're going to be Akichita someday. It just doesn't mean the English translation of warriors, or you're going to go in the army, or you're going to be a police officer. It means you got to have somebody's back, and that's somebody's going to have your back. With that, I think Teresa shared with me some curriculum that our tribal education program, one of our elders had put together there, and I wanted to share that with you. I gave you a glimpse of one of the books the last time we were here. I've been kind of critiquing it for the grammar and possible the philosophical definitions of some of the words and how it should be used, how it should be defined. So those are some things that I see in this curriculum. But I talked to Teresa and I said, I'd like for Dave to take this and take a look at it. And it comes, when I'm talking about this, the Rosebud Sioux Tribes Chicago Lakota Cultural Curriculum. This is K3 or K2, and then you got 3-5, then you got the 6 through 8, and then you got 9-12. All of this is all about our own people around here, our cultural curriculum, exactly what you're talking about in here. It's all there with the lesson plans. So a lot of it is similar to each other, but then the teachings are in here also too. So I would invite you to go ahead and perhaps make sure I get them back, look them over, see if there's something.
Let me tell you that, see, that's evidence. What I'd like to do is, if it's okay with you, and if the board wants to do this, to work toward redesigning your school, I'd send that on as evidence to the proposal people to say, this is what we'd like to, we're going to work with this. Would you help us design a school system that does this kind of stuff? But I'd say, focusing on how do you make that student-centered, So that would be the, you know, the, what I would say, but first, I can't send it in if the board don't want to do it. If the board don't want to do it, then, you know, it's,
The board's not really aware of it, just
yeah,
yet.
so that's why I'm here today. I told Tuffy I'd come, and I sent this stuff before, preliminary stuff like this, so I said the first chance I'd like to visit with the board about if they want me to pursue this opportunity, this funding opportunity, to go in this manner. If you pass it, then I would, if you pass it, like if this was the motion that was on, I'd submit this as an artifact. This is saying that this school wants to go along, because they're looking for schools that would want to redesign. And this is saying this school wants to look at doing something different. Help us out.
Where's your resolution at, Dave?
I don't know. I think it's on here, but I sent it to Tucky. It was a revolution.
I don't see it in here.
Yeah, I never sent me
David, do you have a copy of what you presented to us, once you just went through your?
I'm certainly welcome to give it to you.
Okay, because I'd like to, like, start with talking to the staff about it. and people-
Well, that's what I think, you know, what I was thinking, if you want me to, I could do that.
Oh, I certainly like to, I really.
Yeah,
would
I
like
can
to
give you
see
the thing, but that's kind of what I thought I would be, as the board hired at the time, hiring, I was going to be providing consulting work to deliver this kind of stuff for the school, if you want.
Yeah, you can present the already contracted with
Yeah,
So
I'll
I
come-
guess
I'll
maybe
come
I
and
can copy the
do this thing.
PowerPoint,
This is
so
just-
that we start talking to our staff.
Yeah, what I did is just a piece of it, because I did, the other presentations were, I think I've been here, what, 4 times, 5 times, but each time I gave presentations like this on various aspects. You were on the first one.
Yep, I guess I'm playing catch up, because this is my first time listening.
To this, weren't you behind me over here? Who was over here? Then wasn't there 2 administrators behind me, or did they get adios or something? I don't know. It seemed like one was from Wall-E.
Administrator stuff, we have to.
When I was a high school principal, she was here.
Okay, because she was, but anyway, that's what it's about, you know, just, I think everybody's got to be on board. You present it, because they got, you know, if you don't have ownership, it's all for naught. They can't just say, you're gonna do this. But if they understand why you're doing it, and that's what new meetings, that's what that management style, this old management style is the way Virgil slips. The play was new moon, bring everybody up to the same speed. So I don't know, I don't know if you want to talk about this later or whatever it is like this, or just pass the motion. I can leave, I'm done now. If you guys want me to, I can submit a proposal for you, and that's what the thing was asking. I'll certainly get you, all the motion would say is, yeah, St. Francis is on board and would like to participate in this grant opportunity that 2 revolutions is presented. That's basically all I said in that motion. I wrote it up and I gave it.
Teresa, would it be more appropriate if the board was to review this before we passed it up on?
I would think so, and especially from all of our point of view, so that we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Because we're sitting here at the table with missing pieces,
Yeah.
and I'd surely like to have Dwayne have that opportunity to
I'd like for the
be
board
a part of that.
to really look at it and get a good idea of what we're pushing it forward. So we can present this.
I have no doubt, it's good stuff. I know you guys put a lot of work into it, and you got that from community input.
Right.
And a lot of knowledge that came, and that's kind of, you gotta kind of sell stuff like that to the community at large, say, we're moving in this direction for our students. Yes, Tom.
I'd like to have us, probably table it. Well, we're not in session right now because we didn't go in.
Okay.
But probably discuss it and table it, and I think we meet next week, but we need all the documents that show that you sent, and as well as the resolution. Those resolutions are really important because those are,
Yeah,
we need
check.
them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, by that, sure. Well, what I'll do is I'll I guess pass it up, and then I pass that on, and then see, this is a situation if you do that, then I would go forward to start preparing a proposal.
Mhm.
I don't wanna do it if I don't got this. If you guys ain't gonna do it, you know, so
Yeah.
take your time and think it over. If you wanna do it, I'll certainly
We meet
work on
on
it for you.
Tuesday, I don't know if that will give us time to
Yeah.
make, you know, if we even get the documents to show. But
But I just, what kind of documents do you want?
everything that you started out from the beginning, your
This,
August,
including my other ones?
or what are you offering
Yeah,
us?
yeah.
The one what you
And
brought
that-
today?
Yeah, and that's what I would
Two
love to have.
revolutions.
I'd love to have a training, I think, you guys went through, the first one you guys missed, so I would love to have board training. That's what I would, I'd bring everybody up to speed by what, like I did today, this is one of them. I think I have at least 3 others. And then you would understand the whole picture.
Okay, so you're our consultant right
Yeah.
now for like several things on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're consultant?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's what I do, yeah.
okay.
Um,
And this,
For sure.
and including this one right now that you're offering to the
Yeah,
board too as
yeah.
part of?
Yeah, I'm just doing it as a part, is this it? Yeah, that's it. Where'd you get that? Is it in there?
November 12th meeting,
Oh,
November 12th packet,
Yeah.
with the letter from Puffy.
okay, this is, okay. Shall I read this?
Yeah.
Okay, this is, it's to you guys, and it's just, and it's to explain what I asked of him. I said, Commissioner Sharple has found a resource to assist with the development of an initiative for reform and change. The organization is the School Design Institute, that's part of it, that is also, that's the name of that, Two Revolutions has, this is part of what they're doing with Bush. The Institute has financial resources and consultants who can assist as we move forward in developing board reform plans. They would not give us a model to adopt. That's very key. They will provide professional assistance in developing an appropriate and effective model that you guys would want. Bishop Shambo will work with the board in developing a proposal for submission to School Design Institute. So he is requesting a motion to support development for the proposal. This would be consistent with the decision of the board made to do something different because the traditional public school model has proven ineffective. Motion would be motion to request support and funding from the School Design Institute for a school design proposal opportunity for Chichangu Boyate Ho Incorporated. Mr. Dave Archambault will prepare the submission request in cooperation with the board, and if the proposal submission is successful, we'll act to oversee the program. That's the motion. Right, so,
That was passed?
what's that?
That was passed.
No.
No.
We tabled it.
Here, thanks. So I'm gonna let you guys go. You guys have fun. I know you got a lot of business.
Well, thank you.
You bet. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, Dave. I'm gonna order some of these books. I like that, Spirit and Resistance,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
Colonization of Religion.
It's time. Well, it's been done to us. It's not been good. We gotta start thinking about doing something else. I hope. Yeah, I hope.
Are you a consultant anywhere else for other schools, entities?
I've done a lot of.
I mean, are you current one now?
Yeah, just like these people I do, that's basically what take care of the Pueblo people. That's what I was on. I'm hired by them, and I did a Zoom from 10 to 12:30 today with them. They're all, as a matter of fact, all the people who are on the Zoom are from all over the United States that are interested in this, college course that they're presenting. So I'm like the professor or something like that.
Okay.
But I have other stuff I do a lot of stuff like this. And, it's kind of discouraging work because there's not many schools doing this stuff. And everybody says, yeah, but they don't follow through.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's a tough thing to do. Hard thing. Change is really tough. So I wish you well. I've enjoyed it. I really do enjoy this work, and I hope we go together in a good way, make a good journey.
That's your 2 hours.
Oops, board gets dead
So,
cool.
do I need the board in session to make my proposal?
Yeah, we're gonna, who's gonna call here, Dave or Nicole?
Yeah.
Call it to order. 3:20.
Go and get education and I'll do. Roll call, Donna,
Here.
Dave,
Here.
Nicole, Peter. Juan, present. Okay, Madam President.
I'd like to make a motion to select Nicole as chairman pro tem
A second.
for today's meeting. She is our treasurer.
Second that, Donna.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's in can vote no.
Nicole.
No?
Put 2.2 on right now.
Secondhand stove, huh?
Yeah.
Put 2.2 on right now. Or put him on the floor, so. Or are we going down?
Do you have any additions?
I don't.
2.2, sorry,
No,
We have to do additions, deletions, then the agenda.
And then there's two, because we didn't go last time.
Yeah. The no additions, deletions. I know.
And I'm just there. I'm like, huh? And I have to go approve all of agenda.
Yeah.
call you.
And all this money.
Here, I'll second it.
Oh, can you call me to approve the agenda? Sure. Yeah, yeah.
They can vote too, so.
Okay. You just-
Nothing.
All in favor to approve the agenda? Dave, approve the agenda? And then I added the last week's minutes in there, unless you guys wanna keep those ones and table those ones and approve them all, or.
You could probably just approve them all. Do the quick interview.
Yeah, it was me too, so.
Just let us know every third one, do you have like what it was about?
I have it on the video, but I mean, on recorded, but I still don't understand.
I know, I was looking through the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't understand most of it.
And there I watched the video 5 times.
Remember you said you wrote it down?
Oh, that big old thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I have it here.
That we can approve them and just send me that.
And the only other one I did on page 2 of November 3rd. The business manager was supposed to be right till October 19th, I don't know. That's the motion I have right now too.
Oh, no, yeah, no, it would have been that anyway.
It's okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
because his contract started in 19, so.
That's all I.
So we're approving the 3rd and the 10th?
The third, tenth, and the top, well, the 12th way at the end.
Yeah. And then it's okay.
Okay, yeah. So do you need a second now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Or
I'll
who we gonna move?
I'll move. What are we doing, approving the minutes?
Yeah.
I'll move, Peter, second.
Don will move, need a second?
yeah.
All for it? All for, okay, now, Mr. Dwayne.
I would not to confuse someone, but the 12th was Native American Day. I didn't think anybody worked on that day. So I think the board meeting, that last one I attended was the 13th, which is a Tuesday. So I think your record should have showed that date. The 13th. Monday was the 12th.
13th is on a Friday.
Tuesday. October.
October.
October, is that the ones you're talking about?
No, November.
Oh, then I'm confused.
Let's just launch stuff on the 12th.
Okay. Well, board, what I'm bringing here today is a short synopsis of my October report that I wasn't able to get done because of my sister's passing. That kept me out of the office there at the end of the month and into the first week of the month. But on the report that I did send in, you could get an idea of kind of day by day of the shutdowns and the remote learning, remote work that we were doing. A lot of the remote work that I was doing was with what you have in your packet is just what on the October meeting that I last attended, the board gave me the approval to go ahead and go for this immersion grant with Nicole Collins. And so we had a timeline of October 30th, just 2 weeks, week and a half actually, to get that all together. And so we did connect with her. You have it in your packet there. She wanted a name for it. So I chose the name Wexie. Wexie in Lakota means I remember. I remember. Okay. It kind of pertains to the things that we want students to remember. I remember that. We want all of our students, our faculty, the whole school, everybody, to kind of get this in a mindset saying, okay, yeah, I remember. I remember. So it's good. I like the topic, the title to it. It's this proposal for the Lakota immersion classrooms. You have it before you there. It got completed and it was submitted in a timeline by October 30th. So that is in your hands today. That has, and I've also submitted to you her invoice for the work. And I thought for that quick time and the immense work that she did, it was a very substantial amount. She charged around $3,000 for that quick work that she did for us. And there are support letters to the grant in the back from SGU, SDSU, the Tribal Treaty Office. You'll find those at the back of the grant there. So those are what I wanted to present to you, that I did complete the work that I said I was going to do while I'm remote. A lot of phone calls, Zoom meetings and things that we had to get through to get the grant to meet the deadline. But it was fun. I never really put in for a grant myself like this, so I had to do a little research and it's kind of small, it's kind of short. It's not that, I've seen some grants before that were 100, 200 pages thick, and this is only like about 23 pages, I think. So it's rather small. And one other one, I think I have it in your packet there, is also the board went ahead and told me to connect with Stephen Newcomb on the doctrine of discovery. And I asked him for his contract that he had with the school when Luann was superintendent. He forwarded me that copy, which ended in August 1st. But when March, when the school closed because of the pandemic, the COVID-19, then he was never able to complete all that work. So he put in a request to continue that work and finish up on that. I don't know what the total amount of work that he was allowed to do. There is a copy of some of the work that he has submitted on the doctrine of discovery. It's in the packet. Ocheti Shakoi and the doctrine of domination, written for St. Francis Indian School by Stephen Yukon. So that he submitted along with his invoice, and now is he, I guess, are we gonna wait till we get a full quorum to see if the chair wants to approve of this, or if you guys want to approve it, to have him continue and fulfill his contract.
Sure. Did the previous board approve that then, or that?
On the 13th,
Okay.
the board gave me permission to go ahead and make the connection with him to find what the contract said. So the consultant contract is in the copy you have there, the work that he's going to be doing. His description is professional development consultant in the following areas: common through theory and educational development, Indian history and the doctrine of discovery, much similar to what Dave Arshabu was talking to us about. How did that doctrine of discovery impact us and the way the school system is today? The original free existence of the Ocheti Shakoi and the treaties, foundations of federal Indian law, assist in developing summer law institute for SFIS students. We didn't get to put that into place because of the COVID this past summer. But I'm thinking if this should ever come to be fruition, he wants to bring it back. He's also willing to do some professional development and be a part of the school board retreats and communications trainings with school staff and other professional developments as requested by the CEO, and a consultant will provide complete summary and report of all items 1 through 8 to the CEO on a monthly basis, making monthly reports as his work progresses. His job title is only as a consultant from January 1st, 2020 to August 1, 2020. Luann was the one that brought him on. He did a few presentations to the staff and to the board when he was here with Mr. Kincaid last spring. So this is what I present to you today.
So he's gonna come back then?
He's offering to come back to want to fulfill that contract. I don't know how, I'm not sure exactly on that professional development through 1 through 8 that he is proposing, unless he comes and does something like Mr. Arshabu just did here on the doctrine of discovery. We can blend those two together, working with Dave.
He was here, was it February?
Yeah, he was here in February. He did some presentations to a lot of the staff.
And then he was supposed to come back again, but then the pandemic hit.
Right, he was supposed to do that summer institute and helping to develop curriculum for the high school classes and teaching treaties. And one of the things I got his interest in was, I says, this last school year, I spoke at the graduation for the 8th graders, and I reminded these 8th grader students, you're coming into high school, and by the time you exit, if you stay in the St. Francis Indian School, in the year 2024, you're going to be the class that is 100 years since the Citizenship Act, when Native Americans were allowed to be citizens of our own country. So it's a class that I asked him to see if we can develop and what are the pros and cons of how did this come to be that we became citizens. Who wanted it, who didn't want it. The old dealers, the new dealers, all of this controversy that took place during that time period of becoming citizens. It'll be 100 years in 2024 since that Citizenship Act was enacted. So they would have been the graduating class of 2024, leaving St. Francis with that knowledge of saying, okay, where's our sovereignty? Do we want to come back to being all Lakota? Or do we stay citizens of the United States? And how do we retain our sovereignty? These are issues that he would have been bringing to light in creating curriculum around that Citizenship Act, as well as other acts. Taking classes under Victor DeVille at the university, I've learned that Native Americans have been, if anybody knows anything about policies and acts and agreements, it's Native Americans. We have been put through so many policies and acts during these last 100 years, or even beyond that, since the Citizenship Act.
So Dwayne, when can he come back again?
That's up to the board. That's up to you if you wish to accept his proposal, to authorize him to go ahead and fulfill this contract, maybe rewrite this and extend it to another time period to, I don't know, to August of 2021, to come back and start doing this work and writing the materials, come back and working with developing those courses and doing these trainings for not only staff but for the board. Give him a time limit on that. I don't know what his time schedule looks like, how that was worked out between him and Luann when she was a CEO here. Did they pay him just the time period he was here, or did they pay him for work when he was at home writing? And this is what he's submitting here. Also, too, this doctrine of discovery that he's submitted to you also.
I don't know if he was paid or not.
For Mr. He was paid the hourly of $75, and like when he would write essays for us or do papers for us, he was paid individually for those, and they usually ran about $2,000 each.
He was really a very good consultant, very informative, friendly. He had all kinds of information. He had slides, videos, quite a bit. Really interesting.
And through the school also, he has taught classes for our people.
Yeah, he's really good.
Through SU.
I thought he was good. Yeah. Be nice to have him back again, but
Is
his
that
liars
his
is
program? Huh, they
sure
did great.
everything.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
got
tails.
grades.
I have a question. Is some of this stuff, for the students that have to take, the classes, is some of this stuff on their curriculum? I mean, we should be teaching some of this in the classroom already?
There is one core requirement of St. Francis students that they must have tribal government. And so there's going to be work developed around the treaties and the IRA. That leads up to the tribal government, traditional and IRA governments. So that is a core requirement in order to graduate from St. Francis. So the work is essential in that.
What about, the treaty office? I thought I heard a comment from Mr. Tuigo saying that he was doing some work with St. Francis Indian School.
The work that Phil was doing was wanting to get this resolution through tribal council to the council, the tribal council to support the language initiatives. I'm not too sure about the treaty concept of it, what he was doing in that. He did come and do presentations in Lita's class at times. Him and other knowledgeable individuals such as Leland Lildon. He would come in and do presentations also too.
When he was here, Philmont was here too,
Yeah.
at our retreats. So, yeah, Philmont, you should know why he was here too. In fact, those retreats that he came to, it wasn't even mandated, it was a invitation to all the tribal programs and so on and so forth. Philmont came. Not everybody from that office came, but Philmont did. Tribal education. Not everybody came, but we did. And it was really a pretty good presentation over those couple of days there, so I thought it was. And when I was visiting with him, he said he'd come back with some more information that I had questions on too. And unfortunately, the virus hit, and so that's kind of sign. So. But I took an interest in his presentations. Pretty nice guy.
It would really enforce, his work's going to really enforce what Mr. Archambault was presenting to us. Cultural teachings and the work that I'd like to do with Dave Archambault also too is we're looking at this curriculum that was given to us by Tribal Education Office that I'd like for the board to review first before we give it to him to present. So I'm going to see if I can get other copies for the board so that you can all have a copy to look at this. It's all at all grade levels. Unless you want to take these ones here, you look at one section and then you talk about it amongst yourselves or share the books. I could leave those here with you today. You can look at them now.
So Dwayne, what did you need from us today?
I just wanted to let you know that I have completed the work that I said I was going to do on the immersion grant. And I bring to you the request from Mr. Newcomb, if he's going to be allowed to continue his work, accept his.
Just need a motion to follow that up. Just a motion to continue. You update with the contract, all that stuff.
To
Update the dates.
update the contract, I don't know who would write that up for you, wouldn't you?
No one, either, probably, we could probably just go off with this one, because Teresa, Luan is it, so Teresa could probably sign it.
Instead of being
Go off
3 times.
with it.
Just change the dates
Yeah, we could just change the dates or,
to whatever.
yeah.
You can explain.
Make it.
Like motion.
Yeah, I'll make that motion to offer him the contract, but change the dates. It's more safer, I guess.
Okay. He may be submitting an invoice for some sort of payment here in the next month or so, some of the writing essays that he's written.
Some previous?
Just recently.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know what he's done, if he submitted some to you ask for payment already, or if he's been paid on those. But the one I give you is a recent one that he's just completed and sent to us.
We can't accept anything after August 1st. Ah, just kidding.
How about Zoom? You'll be available on Zoom?
I could talk to him about
Okay.
that, yeah.
How about we just move to make the contract up to bring for approval?
Yeah.
Speed of moves.
Do we need to make a motion for this, or is this already taken care of?
No, I don't think that.
For payment for the.
That was taken care of already for Nicole. Payment's in process now.
Also, Nicole's already taken care of.
Yes.
Yeah.
All four?
Where's the teamwork?
Did you second Dave?
Yeah.
Are you four? Are you Steve?
Or non-voting.
You're not voting?
Yep.
3, 4, 4, okay.
Okay, and that's all I have for you today. And with my October report.
Is this your stuff?
Is that what?
Apart from you two.
Part of yours too?
Oh, that's the one where you submitted your question.
Yeah, that's.
That was the original grant. That was the original grant that we gave to Nicole to work on.
Okay.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no, no, COVID. COVID assistance for SFIS graduates.
Oh,
No, we took an interest in him with the Filipino teachers that we have.
And they went through the same thing in their country. Teresa, is there a possibility of getting extra copies of these programs?
We have to reach out to Cindy
So
and
the board can review them first before
Okay.
we act on it for Dave.
Alrighty, I'll make sure I get some from Parkland and bring them up here so we have maybe a couple of all of them.
I'm sure it's excuse myself.
So for the COVID assistance, Tuffy said, I'd like to provide our SF grads who are in college with COVID assistance, one amount for living in dorms and additional for those off campus. We helped them last year. Last year was $250.
Per student who's in college?
Yeah.
So I know I had, so before we came over, this Gina got the senior list and called every, parent and student. And for our graduates last year,
See you later.
we had 10 that are going to college. That are going to college. 9 of them are attending SPU, and 1 is attending OLC. So Gina did this morning call and everyone and find out. So that will be,
OSU, is that what you said?
OLC.
Oh, that's OSU.
I'm sorry. Sente Leshka and Otsala Lakota. So we do have 10 of our seniors who are in college.
So give them 250 apiece? Is that what you're saying?
The board would approve, or they make that motion, I can pull that together and get it on the correct paperwork. Get it out, we have it by their name, we have it by each individual name.
So do we want to increase the amount?
Oh, too bad I can't.
So we make the motion then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Make it what, 1,000?
250.
and this is a one-time, right?
Yeah.
A
One time deal?
One-time, 250, I don't know
250?
if that's
Is that-
enough for them.
is
What about
that-
400?
Turkey's idea?
Five, double it, 5.
But 250 per semester, or, I'm
There's
gonna
no-
say it's hard to be a college student.
It is.
It really is. And
So 500 then?
I would say 500 per.
Okay.
Yeah. Kids at home waiting.
And then maybe that would be more encouraging to our seniors this year to know that there's something that is to come.
Be specific each semester.
500 one-time payment.
One time, okay.
So I just wanna make a motion.
I'll move, to do the 500 one-time payment for the SFIS graduates. 10 SFIS graduates.
2020?
2020, yes.
2020 graduates, so that way people know.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise I wasn't from 1980 or all.
Right. Oh,
Have you
and-
said that in some of the schools?
Does it count if I went here most high school?
Todd County?
Okay, we'll do a second.
Oh, okay, What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know people calling you?
All
Yeah.
four.
And I'll get that list, get that started.
Now it's
It's all you, Teresa. Stand up here if you want. Oh, that's good.
I just have, two things real briefly, and then one is a mention. I do, and this is, I want to mention something that we're starting the process of doing, and it's in light of helping our Filipino teachers, or any other teacher that comes to us that is not with, that comes to us with a visa. And, so we needed to, and it's in also, it was written into our reopening plan to have a MOU, a memorandum of understanding with Sente Goshka, because that's where we get our teachers from, that's where we get a lot of our training from, so we needed to show a relationship. We do know, once I researched it, that we had a verbal with Sente Goshka, that we had teachers that were there for training, we took student teachers back here, but nothing was put on paper. So we needed to put something on paper that really, put our verbal agreement on paper. So we researched it, we pulled it together, and and I know that you guys need time to read it, but I wanted to present it, give it to you guys for you guys to look at it, like for your approval, so we can get this signed with Sente Goshka, so that we can start working with our teachers in the program. This will also help our teachers with their visa. Some of our teachers are Filipino teachers, and they are trying to get their J-1B visas. And there's fees that keep coming up with those. There's a fee here, there's a fee here, there's a fee there, there's a fee there. This memorandum of understanding will help them get their visas quicker with less fees that we as a school would have to pay. So it's a relationship with that college that really actually benefits our students, and our budget, because then it would let, Sente would pick up some of these costs in memorandum with us. So, and then that would pave that way for future teachers to help our students. So I'm gonna pass that around. I didn't make copies of it, but we can make copies of it. We're presenting it to you today to read and stuff, and then maybe asking at our next board meeting that we get a motion to accept it. Okay. The other proposal that I do have, and I will pass this one around, within the title, I was trying to print it, but my printer doesn't work, but within the title, and since the motion came that way, within the Title IV money that we had to do in the school-wide application, we packed it with a lot of online stuff because we knew that's how we were going to get through it. So within that, I put in K-6 elementary backpacks that have science projects in it and social studies projects. And it has a lesson plan that goes in it that's easily made for the parent to do that at home with them. So it's built into the title budget. We have 300 kids with backpacks, so it's going to cost us $2,900. So that would be have to have coordination. So I'll pass that around. It kind of just shows you what it's for. What we're doing is kind of having to supplement the homes because that's where the classrooms are now. I know for the high school, we're also doing that here. We're getting backpacks for the high school students, but we're not preparing that with curriculum. We're preparing that with hygiene, and other stuff that the high school students would need. So those would be be for elementary. Also, I'm passing this one around. This is gonna be for approval. This is the $20,000 amount that, that's also built into the Title IV. So it is right here within the Title IV budget. This was for the parents who came and did the Google Classroom training with their teacher. And we put it in for the incentive of doing the parent-teacher Zoom conference that they attended, and that the student completed math testing. We built it into the budget to give $75 all-stop grocery certificates for each parent. So that amount was quite high, so we need to bring that to the board. That's all I have with those three line items. And both of those activities come out of the Title IV Part A budget for student support and academic enrichment. So it is in the budget. And I did visit with Troy.
Okay.
Just pass it on before I even begin.
Okay. You guys copies of it. This is hers.
We got one.
I got it.
So that's the one we don't have here, we can tell them.
That's yours.
Unless, I mean, if you guys want to make an approval for us to follow through and to finish it, it would help the process quicker. It's all set, it's all been
I
done.
think so.
So I would like to ask for a motion for it too.
Okay. So we have any items that we need to make a motion for?
Yeah. This is the original, right? Okay.
First one is for the affiliation agreement. That's the MOU?
Yeah.
You need that, okay. Well, I'll make that motion to, you follow through with it.
I'll second.
You said you already put it already.
Okay.
So that's approving it or just following?
Approving it.
Approving it.
And then we need a motion to purchase the backpacks for K6.
I'll make that motion at 29,000.
To Sundance Educational Consulting.
Okay, so
I'll move.
I'll second.
And then we have one more, we need a motion to purchase food certificates of $75 per student at all stop for testing incentives in the amount of $20,625.
And Google Classroom parent training.
Online.
75 all stop.
Testing incentives.
Yeah.
So for all students, or just K6? K6.
Really, we need to make the motion, really stay at that last statement that the parents got some Google Classroom training
So $75 all stop.
for parents for Google Classroom training.
7 for parents.
Really wanted to make sure it says parents. Yeah, right.
$11 per student.
75.
Both sides, right?
And those were both the things that we talked about at the last meeting that I talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the total amount? What was
29.
it?
What was the all stop? 25?
All start 20,000.
625.
625.
a motion?
Yeah, we need a motion.
Follow with that motion.
Second.
Thank you, board. That's all I have for the students and the parents. Thank you.
CFO, short and sweet.
Yeah. We got this motion that wasn't accepted in the last board meeting, so they required a resolution. So this is a resolution that they need to finalize negotiations with the Internal Revenue Service.
This is the one we approved.
Yeah, we approved the rest.
They approved it, but they wanted it by resolution, approved by resolution.
I'll move, Madam Chair, I'll move approval.
Need a second?
Who else?
Wait, no, I'm almost done reading. Just kidding.
There's no pictures on ours. Oh, steep. It says closing down.
Now we're,
Gates be closing a little bit.
yeah.
So, I wanted to, just talk about the incentive or hazard pay. So, it was already approved. So how many are we paying out?
So you'll have to take a look at that list and see if you agree or disagree. We'll have deletions, and additions to it.
All of them, so. That's everybody. Okay.
But then I know that, Mr. Lunderman called me and, Gina over for discussion too. And we both had input that said, it should be for every staff, should be up for all staff.
Everybody done? Okay.
And then I did know that when he was in there, because he called me and Gina over, he did see that in the budget where he would take it out of. And, we said that, because it's out of the COVID money, that we paid for some online learning platforms out of our own high school budget and our elementary budget. So we would give up that money that we put into the COVID, that could be used for the hazard pay. We picked up in our regular budget a lot of the online curriculum. So the COVID money, that's where we stacked where the online stuff would be, but we've already used our regular budgets for that. So that frees up the COVID money. Is what we discussed with Mr. Lincoln.
So that COVID money's available for,
That concludes my report. You just gave.
So it can't be paid then? Okay.
And I was just, adding to the discussion that the principals talked to Mr. Lunderman about the budget. That's all I was giving out to that information.
Okay.
Just for, also, Top County's doing something, the same thing as well, so just a FYI. It's really tough time right now, we're going through this pandemic, so.
And it was good to see on the news that public schools are doing it too. I see here school gave a incentive, so it's good to know staff is appreciated.
I don't know if I want to name it hazard pay though.
It's an hazard every day, man.
Do we name it? Do we name it something else? Incentive or, I don't know.
Kind of like live or die. Any day you can catch it, and there's no guarantees you're gonna live.
Maybe we have to put a name for it.
Incentive?
I have something to say. You guys have a report, and if you look at that report, there's two amounts there. One is for after tax and one is before tax. Because the motion was made to pay, and when I asked, is it before tax or is it after tax? Because I'm getting calls from employees saying they're gonna get $2,500 So you guys need to approve, what do you want to give them? Before tax or after tax? That's why there's two, columns there. And you'll see on the very back, the amount that, the total amount for.
So we'll give it 27, or 25, that's basically what it is then?
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. And then you give them the 25, when the tax is taken out, the check will be 2,300 instead of. And that needs to, I think, be in a motion.
That needs to be a motion.
We'll have to remember that now, because it's always usually after taxes.
So we gotta change it to 2707.
270709.
Yeah.
Let's do that right now. Just kidding.
I'll do it if I could.
Well, then I'll make that motion again since I made the first one.
Okay, so, or should we amend your motion
Yeah.
to 27?
Yeah, 270709.
Amend the move
I see the
report.
board members on
Yeah.
there. You get in trouble. I'll second.
I already did. I just kidding.
We got everybody though, huh? Everybody on it?
Yeah.
Yep. And then you'll see highlighted with names, those are our temporary sub people.
Oh, the guard,
Don't
okay.
have contracts, I think there's 5 of them
Okay.
on there.
But they're working there.
Judy, how many staff altogether?
169 on that list.
Awesome.
Hopefully we have to go in.
CFO, we have anything else?
That's it?
Gotta vote.
Yeah, hold on that resolution.
So go.
We gonna hold on to do these, or what do you want to do?
Well, you should stay, you need to stay to discuss the 3-year contract.
When are we meeting again?
You need to stay to discuss the 3-year contract.
He sent me a memo, what 3-year contract?
The one for Anessa.
Oh, he sent me a memo saying it's not negotiable.
Oh,
Judy.
okay. So
The chairman. He said he had received advice from somebody, and he said it's non-negotiable.
Okay, so we're just gonna make that.
Yeah.
It's not in policy.
Yeah. That's why we referred it back.
Separate policy.
That's why we referred it back.
That's why we tabled it.
Anything else?
Do you want, well, there's the superintendent search, but I just was asking if we wanna go with cause all the other stuff we worked out. But I finally found the job announcement after going to a million choice tribune. Do we wanna go with that qualification or the one company data?
I'd say the one that we have.
The job announcement? Doesn't be a motion, I mean, I just, FYI.
Just because everything's been over, right?
Yeah. And then that's all I have to fill in is those and then, timeline. When do we want to post the position? When do we want the application deadline? Do we want to do it right now or do we want to wait until the next school year, just do it how they usually do it?
I think I would try to get better tendency, because we've done this in the past, and you can't just you can't find someone in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
Did we put in, and I'm just saying it because I have to, Native American preference?
Yeah.
Did that get put in there?
I think so.
Yeah. Because if we go with that one we had from the previous year, that has all what we need.
Yeah.
And we'll go with that, and then we'll just do the timelines for the next school year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be easier that way.
You know how many times they've done
I
it?
don't get anybody. so.
We don't need motion, then we're done, because we can bring back the wage scale.
Put in there, vaccines available.
With the weight scale, what do we have to do, just to approve it, or are you just showing us?
They, cause Chucky asked for a costing. And I talked to Troy, and he said it is, he can't get a cost analysis together right now, but he said there is money and it is sustainable.
So we just need to make a motion to approve the new?
Yeah.
So we don't have to keep doing it every week?
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve it, or what?
Mhm.
I would.
Dave moves.
Well, what's that now?
On
need-
the wage scale.
you need-
Yeah, we just need to approve the new one, so we don't keep
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about it every
Okay.
week.
Review the wage scale.
Yep, because we just needed to know we could sustain it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So David, motion?
yeah.
And
Nicole said, so I better do it.
I'm just tired of seeing it in my work.
I know, every week is a year.
Oh, okay. I heard a company said, oh, maybe.
That and this chart needs to be approved, because it's in our packet every time.
I know, well, that one was, remember Chucky wanted, job descriptions.
Yes, we have all of
And
them.
I have now found them.
They were just missing.
They were missing. I thought it never got to everybody.
And then-
So they can approve this tonight.
Yeah, well, no, because if there's anybody was missing, did you look at it?
No, we did it last time, we talked about it, and everybody was accounted for.
Because there was also the CFO that was gone, right?
No, the CFO's not on there.
No, this one.
No, he is now, I mean, it is now.
Is he now, did we put the surveillance director on
Oh,
there?
we can approve it with adding surveillance there.
Now we don't have to see it.
Right?
Well, the only
Where would he
thing
go?
that I was gonna say is, I just have a hard time with our consultants being over regular workers.
Well, no, they're not over. This one,
This answer right here, okay.
yeah, they're just under the superintendent.
Okay.
There's no arrow, they're not over.
Thank you. I mean, I just need to clarify.
It's on paper they are.
Yeah,
So which one are we adding?
Surveillance director,
Oh, yeah.
that's the only one not on here.
Under who?
He's
High school?
gonna be.
under the CEO.
He's under the CEO as the director.
Yeah, he just re-added.
He'll just be out there everywhere.
Under principal.
Oh, wait, we
Under
have to go on
principals.
the last, we're running too ahead of ourselves.
It's because it's
Well, we didn't, we didn't vote
I
on
can
that.
reach it into the directors, because he's a surveillance director.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, so we'll just add him onto that director list.
Okay.
Go
So
with
the
your-
dog comes.
I know, I was trying to vote here.
And we're not in executive, are we?
No, I was gonna ask, there's nothing,
Now, our calendar hasn't changed, right? Because we don't have L&I. I'm interpreting this calendar as still our holidays. Even though we're not having L&I, we're not gonna have staff come back into work. I'm just making sure I'm clarifying that we're still following the calendar.
okay, first is the wage scale. We already,
Yeah.
The new one.
the new one.
Did you make that motion?
Yeah, we just have to go.
Need a vote, just gotta vote.
We're voting on the wage scale,
The new one.
the new one.
It's in our packet every week.
Since, September, that's good.
It's the whole,
It's been in the
lots of
packet.
trees and that.
There's a motion by Davis, second by Skeeter, we can vote whenever you decide.
Oh, on the wage scale.
Oh, the new one, yeah,
Okay.
the new,
The $2.
Okay.
And now for organizational chart, adding surveillance director.
Adding what?
The surveillance director.
Kind of wanted some discussion on that. I mean, not on the surveillance director, but on the flow chart. It seems like we have a flow chart, but it's not in line with our bylaws that we have to use right now, because these bylaws are incomplete, they're not done with them. And there's sections missing out of them. And I don't know about the flow chart, until it follows this, I would rather,
table.
yeah, because we need to get our,
I thought, are we gonna do bylaws next week too?
Yeah, we need to.
With the budget, like do the budget and then do the bylaw meeting.
It's next Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Next Tuesday.
And
You
then
know-
we were hoping to do the rest of the handbooks after that, then and update everybody, encourage input and all of that.
Especially that policy, because like,
Yeah.
there's some things that were just handed to me, but
Your chop paper.
the changes, the policy that was just handed to me was different from what I saw in the personnel policy, so I don't know. I think those need to be, but I like the table. I mean, if you guys are gonna vote on this, I'm not going to, because it doesn't fly with this.
We'll hold off.
So we can hold off on that then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, 'cause if you see a mistake in there, yeah, I think we'll need to know.
yeah, your inspections
Yeah.
missing out of here, it's not
Yeah.
complete.
So that will be our next agenda, then the budget and bylaw.
Yeah, and then that'll be all Martin, you know, get it up to date.
That way we're all on the same page. and
But I'll
discuss
I'll press
things.
it open.
So we meeting again, what, the 24th?
Yeah.
And there was one more that we wanted to put, that was supposed to be on our agenda, and we got emailed it, but there was something that we had,
Oh, but Donna, you made the motion to table?
to,
Okay, I'll make the second, table,
Table,
charge.
chart. And we could vote on that.
Table.
I only for the record that it needs to be consistent with our bylaws.
And I have a suggestion on, if someone could make a motion to suspend future presentations until further notice during the pandemic. Like no face-to-face, and we could do Zoom's acceptable, but I'd rather not have people coming from different states right now and a little bit nervous about that.
I was a little nervous because then when he talked to me and I worked with his wife, I said, so, his wife? And he said, she's in quarantine.
Who?
His wife? His wife. So then I said, oh, so when's the last time you've seen her?
Yeah, so I would, I mean,
So that's probably a good motion right now.
yeah, until further
And
notice.
Zoom by Zoom or something.
No, like during the pandemic, no face-to-face, just Zoom, cause it's a little.
Zoom or third.
Second for Nicole's motion.
No face-to-face contact from anybody, teachers and students and all that. Right?
Well,
Just a-
it's
Well,
for
the
Consultant.
Presenters.
consultants and stuff, because you never know, like, you know,
When they travel out of state and stuff.
Yes,
Where does he come from?
North Dakota.
that's just like this guy too.
Nobody was here and
Lives in Dakota.
48.
When he
Just
said,
for our
Go
safety.
call him.
Oh, whoa, all for it?
Okay, we got it.
Okay. This, oh, the replacement for the safety officer, we were suggesting Deanne, our nurse.
yeah, since, Chad is our safety officer, but he's on FM now, he's on leave since he moved that unit for his neck. And I know, Tuffy wants us to put a new person lead up there, and I would like to recommend our nurse, Deanne.
She's on board now though, huh?
Yeah, she's on board now, she's started. She's, currently remote working, doing the FISPA, all that training, so she can legally get on the computer. And so.
Well, that would make sense, too, things are.
Yeah, she's a nurse.
And, basically, we've been working with her anyway and getting the whole.
I moved Chairman, Madam Chair. Safety officer. But to replace, yeah, with Deanne Eastman, school nurse.
Yeah. Is
Shall
she
tax
on the
number?
big task force too?
Yeah.
That should
Yeah.
probably be on there too.
Yeah.
Second by Donna. All in favor, 4-0-0. Okay.
Chief, there was, me and Skeeter talked about it a couple meetings ago. I don't know if you can, when Troy comes back, just kind of mention to him that we were kind of looking into getting a, Christmas bonus for the staff as they didn't get one last
Oh,
year.
yeah, Christmas bonus.
Which is true.
Incentive.
Incentive.
Yep, incentive.
Say bonus.
That's what we meant to say.
Yeah. Just to bring it up and see what it would, if it'd be feasible, so,
Okay.
since they didn't get one last year.
Yep.
I'll work with Troy on that.
We should get retro. We want a retro.
I'll second that.
Just because you're on the list.
I think it's feasible,
Yep, and you know what I will say, working with Troy and looking at the budgets and stuff, the way that we ended last year, there is some carryover amounts that are in specific line items. And you know, the rule is like first in is what we should be using. So, he does have a good handle on the budget, so,
And I
We'd
know
like to,
last,
if we can, you know, I mean, not pushing it, but to give the students something.
Yeah, good mainly.
You
Gift
know,
card or something.
gift card, something that they, you know what, this,
Christmas.
Yep, just like for that, like our incentive for parents, we put it in per semester, so this one we're doing is
Like
for
lawyer
this
books.
semester, and that 75 is also for second semester, so, we could, that's in well within the budget.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea.
even like the gift card, if they can, because a lot of them have access to the internet now, because that's
Because
not
now
all
they
they
have
have to do,
Wi-Fi.
and they might be able to order something, you know, or
Which is cool.
yeah.
Fortnite bucks, or what do you call it?
Yeah.
V-Bucks.
V-Bucks.
V-Bucks, that's what I call it.
Yeah, so look at something for that, for them too.
We can do that.
so should we just make a motion of research at
Christmas.
Christmas
Incentive.
incentives for student and staff?
Yeah.
Just got
I think the
2,500.
students we won't have an issue with them because if they can use that COVID money to prevent in their homes.
Yep, and a lot of this where we put the COVID money, really enhances how we're working with them in the homes. So even like, safe and healthy, we put 28,000 in there, school-based mental health online person, school activities throughout the year to help with, self-esteem and stuff like that. That could be, that's helping them all be healthy. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
learning how to do that, so it is in the budget where we have 20,000 already in there.
Okay.
Especially with the COVID, you're right, because it's very psychological and having to be online. And we are also working, the high school is working on t-shirts that say, welcome to I'm in cyber school. And the elementary are doing theirs that say, I belong in the SFIS Google Classroom. So we're also getting our students incentive t-shirts so that they can have pride when they're showing up in those Google Classrooms, they can see each other wearing the same t-shirts and wearing those shirts so that we can start having to show some kind of camaraderie when the kids see each other. So we're trying to come up with every online stuff we can.
So you do that matter in the motion?
Okay, so we just need a second on that.
Oh.
The Christmas.
For the Christmas.
Yeah, for students and stuff.
I just put to research it and then we'll bring some back for.
And I'll work with Troy, we'll do something like that.
Yes.
So where's our high school principal at? Oh,
Um,
did you vote already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really voted for everybody.
You just wrote it.
I really swore I was supposed to do this.
She,
I thought that she was on her way over here after I got here, and, one of the persons brought me the message that, she was leaving for the day. So, otherwise, cause she was gonna present the seniors, but it's a good thing I need the numbers.
Would you already make that motion then, Dave?
Yeah.
we already voted, I guess.
Yeah,
You did already. I thought you did.
it's the Xmas thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Motion by Nicole.
For students and parents?
Yeah.
Students and stuff.
And staff, students and staff.
Students and stuff.
I'll work with Troy to do something back. I'm sorry.
Research.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Is there anything else?
I think that's it.
The superintendent search?
We did that.
No,
Oh.
we were just wondering what one of the
okay.
two members, we're not gonna move on that.
What about the accountant position?
That's the one with Vanessa, remember she wanted us 3 years, if they just,
So what's gonna happen now?
Have to discuss it with him today.
You'll probably have to talk to her about that.
Yeah.
Sonny,
Well, he was supposed to. He was supposed to and bring it back.
Okay, no. That's why we tabled it, but he went out anyway, so.
Yeah, and then I talked to them about it, and, that's what I thought he was gonna talk about, but he said that it wasn't doable, so we're gonna talk to her again, whenever he chooses.
So it sits idle then. They're not lacking anybody to help them in there during this time of audit that he was saying last time, or?
I don't, that would be a question.
Yeah, and
That's the,
Okay.
doesn't discuss very much with me, so I don't know if you can tell that, otherwise I can help. But with that, I do have just one more, thing to mention. I did say I would mention it for my staff. And I don't think it's a negative thing, it's just something for clarification. They asked me if, I would ask them, I know that, it maybe was 2 months ago, maybe there was a school board meeting up here, and there was a lot of food, and, somebody out of the business office told the other staff that were coming up here that they couldn't eat the food, and then they put a big old notice out by email that said, staff can't eat until the board eats. And so, so staff had pretty much stayed away, but, just like today, there was a group of staff who came up here to eat, and, they're uncomfortable coming in to eat, and so they just asked if we could ask the board, when the board has food up here, can they come up and eat also? Bottom line.
that thing that went out was, miscommunication, or
Yep.
sent out like that.
It was just been
We
sent
didn't
out.
want, a bunch of people in here at once,
Mhm.
and that was all that was stated.
Okay.
Sent out.
And that's why it's unclear, so that's why I'm just gonna say, I wanted to bring it to the board to let them know that,
Misconstrued, huh?
yeah, it got carried away, so now staff are feeling very bad about coming up here when there's
And
food.
it's
Now that they have their masks on, because we always have a lot left.
yeah, and
Right.
it's
So
just the
maybe-
one at a time.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
6 feet, at least 6
Yeah,
feet.
And then I
so
would,
two come make plates, two come make plates.
Then I'm wondering too, with that in mind, that maybe, we could,
Move it
use
up.
another room, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Maybe we could just move it out in the middle and everyone gets a plate here.
And just like, I think something that it was just a misinterpretation, but we just want to clear it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just,
It was just a
Just tell them the social distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I told the staff, I said, we'll just get clarification, so we're all on the same
yeah,
page.
there was never a problem for people to get the work.
Yeah. Like I said, it was just someone who put it out without clarification. It just caused bad feelings, the feelings are fixed now.
Yeah.
Because Don, I'm not sure he could take everything home.
Okay.
We don't turn it to our paper.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion
I'll
adjourned.
move.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Fourth grade Dakota teacher? Fourth grade Dakota teacher? Nobody yet?
No, you did,
Is the captain right of light?
Oh,